This is it. The end of the winter meetings, and you know what that means? That
No
means
more backpacks.
everything will start happening. Well, yes, no more backpacks. That's the easy answer from Kratz, but also everything will start happening.
What?
Why? There's no deadline, so
No.
things will happen now, tonight, tomorrow.
But my question is, why does Kratz hate backpacks so much?
I love backpacks.
I love backpacks. Like, what, Kratz, are you
What,
like
you a
one of those
briefcase
people
guy?
that has the wheelie, the little wheelie suitcase when you go around, like not a backpack? Like, I don't get why you're such a backpack hater.
If you saw all the backpacks that went by, it looks like some people are like they're Sherpas, like they're hauling their entire life around with them. It's like you're at the winter meetings. Like our guy right back there, Shai Davidi. He just walked by, good backpack wearing. We got some people that are rocking all of Pete Alonso's money in it. That's what it looks like. So that's all. I love backpacks.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't want to see my backpack. My backpack is like my go bag, so it has all kinds of stuff. It has like clothes for 3 weeks. It's got like a pair of shoes I fold up in it. It's got all my bathroom stuff. It's got all my cords. It's got everything in it. So I can't make fun of anyone with the backpack. Like, backpacks are where it's at.
Yeah, there was one guy walking by, an Orioles guy, had a big like orange Orioles logo, and his backpack was like this big. It had all of Pete Alonso's money in it.
Oh, every
All of it.
bit.
So let's hit breaking news. The polar bear has left the Mets. 5 years, $155 million gets him to the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles made a big bid that essentially matched what the Phillies threw at Kyle Schwarber. That was according to Ken Rosenthal, who had great reporting and will be on our show later. But we learned that Pete Alonso will instead be the guy that the Orioles bring in to be their big power bat to help get these young guys to a better spot and get the Orioles back into the postseason.
Also, don't forget, I mean, they added Ward.
Taylor Ward.
Right?
Yep.
So they've started adding bats, and then they hope Adley bounces back. They have Basayo. They have Gunnar. They're hoping Jackson Holiday takes the next step. Kowser takes the next step. Like, this is how you do it, right? This is how you build an organization. And when you get to that point, now they need some pitching, and especially in that division, they're going to need some pitching. And as happy as I am for the Orioles right now, because we've banged the Orioles drum to death. Like, we need the Orioles to do this. We need the Orioles to do this. Mike Elias, way to go. The new ownership. We saw Adam Jones walk by. He didn't even tell us about this. So I don't even know what's happening, right? But here's my question. What are the Mets doing? Where are you, Mr. Met? Like, what are we happening here with Uncle Stevie Cohen? Like, what's if you're a Mets fan, you lost Edwin Díaz, and now you've lost Pete Alonso in 24 hours. What's happening up there in Queens and the 7 train and all that? Are they too worried about building that casino and that new area they're building around Citi Field? Like, what Pete Alonso should
No, they didn't make the playoffs last year, and they said, fuck this. We're doing something different.
I mean, okay.
I'm gonna not bag on the Mets here because I bagged on the Pirates yesterday, and my Twitter page just melted away with all the visceral just hate of what I was saying. But so I'm gonna go with the Orioles. Does anybody know how many home runs, the highest amount of home runs on the 2025 Orioles was? It's a trick question.
Gunnar,
Jackson Holiday, and Jordan Westberg all had 17 home runs. To add Pete Alonso, rarely can you say this guy is a 40 home run power guy. Like, you say, oh, he's hit 40. He's normally more like a 30 to 35, but his potential is 40. This guy is pencil him in for 40 home runs. It could be 50 to 55. He will change this lineup, and this is a huge step in the right direction. I just hope the Orioles are not saying, all right, we're just going to go with the pitchers that we got, which are good. Bradish, Tyler Wells, I think, will be back. You had a great year from Rogers. Grayson, too soon. But, you're going to have some good pitching. I just need them to add to that pitching because then they become a formidable piece in the American League East, which the Red Sox have made a little moves. The Blue Jays have made big moves. The Orioles now have made big moves. The Yankees are just waiting right now. So this is a fun American League East.
Yeah, this team had a brutal season this past season, talking about Baltimore.
Yeah.
They just improved their offense with power. significantly
By 2 guys.
over the last few weeks.
But they have not improved the biggest problem they have.
Pitching.
Yes.
Because now I used to just.
I mean, listen, I love the Helsley signing, and I love bringing Kittredge back. So I love both of those moves to help the bullpen. But you trade away Grayson. Can Rogers do it again? What else do they have? Bradish, where's he? Kramer, where's he? They don't have Batista. What is Eflin? Where's he at? Like, there's all these.
Well, he's not there anymore.
Oh, well, he's a free agent.
there.
Here's their rotation right now, guys. Trevor Rogers, who was brilliant
but 2 years ago he was in AAA and couldn't get anybody out.
Kyle Bradish coming off. This will be his first full season off of surgery. Dean Kramer, Tyler Wells, Cade Povich.
Yes, exactly. You trust that?
No.
And against Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Luis Heel?
No.
And then you go to Dylan Cease, Kevin Gausman, Barrios, Savage, that whole crew. And then you go to the Crochet and Sonny Gray and that whole crew. Plus the Rays with McClanahan and all them coming back.
They have by far the worst pitching in the AL.
It's not even close.
But now their lineup is up to par or close.
But you win
with the rest of the division.
You win with pitching.
No, I know.
Man.
But this to me means, all right, good. Kratz, offense, done. This is a lineup where you look at it on paper and you're like, Jackson Holiday, what is he, 22? Jordan Westberg, Gunnar Henderson. Now you added Pete, Adley Rutschman. You added Taylor Ward. Outfield's Cowser, maybe Dylan Beavers, and then Basayo too.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing where he plays, right? Could be a little mix and match.
What's interesting though is Basayo. Every Orioles person were like, we're not sure if he's going to catch. He can be a first base / DH. Well, now he ain't playing first base because Pete's there, and now they still have Adley. So now he's a 22-year-old DH.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, his bat plays. It's definitely there. Obviously, he had some struggles when he first came up. Is that like? It's funny that you would hamstring him like that. Are the Orioles willing to make Basayo the everyday catcher? No, I don't think so. But are they looking to the future when Adley Rutschman does not re-sign with this team? Yes.
Would they trade Adley? They could get a haul. They could get some pitching in a trade. If there's teams out there, I look at a Texas Rangers team that might need a catcher to pair with Higgy, right? There's some teams out there that could use some Philly maybe. If Philly doesn't sign JT, would they make a move and try to give up somebody to get a Adley Rutschman? I mean, would Mike Elias think about possibly making a move for pitching that way? Because you have Basayo there.
Clearly, Mike Elias doesn't want anything to do with any free agent long-term pitching. He's fine with free agent pitchers, but long-term pitching, so now you look to the teams. Is there a match where it's Adley that has pitching? Do they want to trade? Do the Twins want Adley Rutschman? There's pitching there. Do the Marlins want Adley Rutschman? There's pitching there. You got to look at the matchups and where that if they're saying yes, we would move Adley. Obviously, that's a huge if. To me, I think he's still can be a top tier player.
Also, do we have the full evaluation on Samuel Basayo yet as a big league catcher? If there were some question marks, I mean, the bat should play. So I think they're going to figure it out. And yeah, it could open them up to trade thoughts. But for me, I don't think they're going to touch this. I think this is the lineup they're rolling with.
That's fine. It's a solid lineup.
They'll get Pete off his legs a little bit. Listen,
it's a solid lineup.
Listen,
Pete doesn't care anymore because Pete just got 5 years, 150.
Exactly.
So
he doesn't need.
Pete's
to play
gonna be like, okay, I don't need to prove my
day.
worth as a first baseman. Now I'm okay. It's like the hater thing, right? For years, I'll only throw the one inning, and now I got my 5 years, 100. I'll do whatever you want now because I got paid, and good for Pete, man. Like Pete's not gonna not want to play. Pete plays every day, so when he's not playing first, he'll still want a DH. So he's gonna be in the lineup. Again, good for you, Orioles fans. Good for the Orioles organization. Good for you, Mike Elias. Good for you, Rubensteins.
Yep.
Everything, right? Good for you. Camden Yard's going to be rocking again. I'll go get some pitching. But I just can't get over the Mets. The Mets lost, you can argue, but like two guys, homegrown dudes, man, for the Mets. Edwin Díaz and the all-time.
Well, Diaz wasn't homegrown, but close. But he traded early
early. But
just providing.
He basically grew up in big league career as a Met. Like, and Pete Alonso drafted all the way through. All-time home run leader for the Mets. Gone.
Gone.
But people say is Steve Cohen has all this money, he can never get outspent by anybody. And now they're saying, oh, we weren't comfortable. Of course, teams always say that when a guy leaves. Oh, we weren't comfortable. But I don't know. It's weird. And Nemo's gone now. They've lost big pieces, and how will they replace them? I know David Stearns has his thing that he does, but how are the Mets going to replace these pieces? How are they going to replace the home runs? How are they going to replace Pete Alonso in the clubhouse? How are they going to replace the ninth inning? I know they got Devin Williams, but how are you going to replace, Diaz with Devin? It's a lot.
They were pissed, as an organization would be. They didn't make the playoffs. That payroll is off the charts for a team to not make the playoffs, and frankly look pretty pitiful down the stretch. The only thing that's funny to me is I feel like there was a clear-cut reason why they didn't make the playoffs, and it was the pitching. So getting rid of Pete, getting rid of Nimmo, I don't know. I mean, those are pretty well-liked.
Their closer, I mean, they didn't get rid of him.
Guys, too.
But getting rid of Diaz, who had a really good year. Look at his numbers.
Basically, it's like you look and say, hey, we got to blow this up quite a bit and find a different mix. But I feel, Kratz, like the players that are taking the brunt of that are not the ones that were the problem.
It's a different route. I mean, I guess there's different way to skin a cat. I don't see it, but I know David Stearns has a plan, and maybe that plan is, maybe we'll just linger around, and then once all these National League East contracts get old, then we'll pounce. No, I know that's not his plan. I'm excited to see what he's going to do because there's a lot of freed up money right now. Like the fact that you're not paying Diaz, I guess you have to still pay Devin Williams, and it's not that big of a difference. You're not paying Pete. Like, I'm excited. I think Stearns will do something. I'm just fearful the fact that the reports coming out that they're not willing to go to that fifth year. Maybe they were willing to go the $30 million a year, but they're not, or 31 a year.
No, I'm getting fresh stuff for you. Ready for it?
Yeah, I'm always for it.
Okay. John Heyman, Joel Sherman, among others. There's a lot of tweets coming in fast and furious that the Mets were essentially surprised that Pete got 5 years. Will Salmon from The Athletic said the Mets had some interest in bringing Pete back, but they were not comfortable going to the lengths and figured it ended up in his deal with the Orioles. It was a much better. His tweet not making sense to me. Sorry. Anthony Tacoma. I think he misspelled. Anthony Tacoma said the Mets never made a formal offer to Pete Alonso, as it became clear to them the bidding wasn't heading to places they weren't interested in going.
Well, Sherman said the same thing. Joel Sherman.
Good for Pete. Yeah. We thought he was going to get 5 years, $150 last year. So he got whatever he got last year,
30. He got about
a total
30.
of 185 over the.
You got 30 last
year.
You're
counting last year, 6 years, 185. And if you took Pete to free agency last year and said, "Hey, 185," he would sign up for that in a freaking heartbeat.
Scott Boras got him again. Scott Boras got him again.
City.
Matt Chapman got him. Bregman's going to get him.
Cody
Bellinger got him.
Yeah. Hey, opt-outs for stars are usually a pretty good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what do they do now?
Who? The Mets?
I mean, Kratz said he had to bring back Frankie Montas. I don't
Find
know.
the next Montas?
I said that?
No, Kratz said David Stearns has a plan. I said bring back Frankie Montas. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they're kind of in a weird spot because you have Juan Soto, you have Lindor, you got guys you got to try and go for it with, but they're in a weird. Have to ask our next guest, but I don't know what they do. That's a
do they go after Bregman?
Problem.
Do they go after Bregman and move Vientos to first base? Is Bregman a better pickup than Pete Alonso? You're never going to find Pete's homers anywhere on the market. Sorry. Not Kyle Tucker, not Cody Bellinger, none of that.
It was Schwarber and Pete, and they basically got the same deal. We talked about this yesterday, Kratz. Yeah. I said, hey, teams like Baltimore didn't get Schwarber, and Baltimore was the top bidder with Philly, right? They both offered $5,150. And I was asking you how much of a difference it is between the two players. They're both monster home run hitters. Yes, Schwarber hit many more this year. It is in a more hitter-friendly park in Philadelphia than in Queens. That is a fact. So you weight the numbers, and they were very close. Even last year, this past season, when
just like an year
Kyle
ago.
Schwarber had an incredible season, Pete was right there, very close in terms of metrics that front offices use to evaluate bats. You're not signing Pete for his defense. You're signing him for his bat, and eventually he might just be a full-time DH, and that is okay. So if you're Baltimore and you were going to sign a full-time DH, you got the, quote, next best guy.
Well, you know what I'm proud of, though, more than anything with the Orioles? They put it out there that they were in on Schwarber, and they had the money. And then, unlike some teams that say, like, I'm going to use the Pirates. We keep banging on the Pirates. So I'm going to keep banging on the Pirates. The Pirates said we had 4 years, $100 million, or 4 years, $120 million, right? Whatever their offer was to Kyle Schwarber. Even the Reds. We'll throw the Reds out there. The Reds are whatever.
I think 135 were the Reds.
Yeah, whatever. So they're admitting that they have that money to spend. So why don't they turn and pivot and go spend it somewhere else? The Orioles did that.
Mm-hmm.
The Orioles made their offer to Schwarber. He didn't pick them. He went back to the Phillies. They took that money and said, you know what? We're going to go for the next best thing, which is Pete Alonso. And they had to pay $5 million more. But that $5 million over 5 years is nothing, okay? And they said, boom, we have this money. We've told people we have this money, and we're going for it. So kudos, Orioles, and to the other teams. I don't understand how, like, especially the Reds and the Pirates. We have this money, but we're not going to spend it on anyone else. Now we're just going to hoard our money?
No, I mean, there are many free agents left.
But you know what I'm saying.
They might.
Do you
not
think
have
the
been
Pirates are
going to
take that whatever money they had for Kyle Schwarber, $100 million, and say we're going to spend it on someone else?
They should have spent it on Pete. I mean, like I said, there's similar offensive comps. Pete's 2 years younger, but good for the Baltimore Orioles for coming through there. Tim Healey is here, and we're going to talk to him right now about the Mets, actually, Tim.
Hey,
we're going to take you back in the day.
Yeah.
When you covered the Mets. Eventually, we'll get into the Red Sox with Tim, too. But, I mean, this is the news that sweeps the day, and you covered Pete Alonso for a long time.
For a long time. The Mets had a lot of work to do coming into the week, and now they have so much more work to do. And I don't know how they're going to do it all. They don't have Edwin Díaz. I don't think they were ever going to keep Pete Alonso. They seemed kind of lukewarm on him at best the whole time. But where are you going to get those home runs, as you guys were saying? How are you going to get a frontline starting pitcher? How are you going to get another back-end reliever or two? So they have David Stearns is a smart guy. He'll probably figure it out, but man, they have a lot of work to do.
Okay, so I know we're going to get to the Red Sox, but the Mets, to me, are as happy as I am for the Orioles. It's if you're a Mets fan, you're like, wait, what happened in the last?
Mets fans are despondent. I feel bad for them.
Diaz, Alonso, gone,
yes,
right, big pieces, but they still have Soto, they still have Lindor, they still have pieces, right?
Yeah.
If they don't do anything, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. Do you think Juan Soto's looking at it like, why the heck did I sign here if all these guys are now gone?
If he doesn't have at Juan Soto's introductory press conference, basically a year ago this week, he said straight up that what the Mets needed after signing him was a big right-handed bat. That was a not so subtle reference to his fellow Scott Boras client, Pete Alonso. Mets waited it out, eventually got him back on the deal that they did, and it worked out. At least for those two, statistically, not for the team, of course. They missed the playoffs. They had a bad year, but without Pete behind Soto, somebody needs to be. They need right-handed power from somebody, and they really don't have that in-house.
All right, so I'm going to try to transition your previous team to your current team here.
Yeah.
Does this – it obviously opens up first base. The logical thing is they're going to go Vientos to first just because that's just the generic rhetoric that we just keep hearing. Is there a chance David Stearns likes an Alex Bregman at third better than the combination of Mark Vientos at third and Pete at first because of the added defense, because of the added leadership winning that Alex Bregman brings? And, the money's going to be whatever, $20 million apart.
So I wonder as well about Alex Bregman and the Mets, because he would make a lot of sense for them because they could use a guy like him. And if they didn't want to give the money to Pete, do they want to give it to Alex Bregman, who's just a little bit older, better defender, had an injury last year? Like, there's a lot of moving pieces there. But from what I understand, they really like Brett Beatty, and he's penciled in at third base right now. So I don't know what Mark Vientos' deal is going to be. Maybe first base, maybe some Jeff McNeil at first base. Maybe they add somebody like Paul Goldschmidt.
But Vientos, It was,
he had
Last year.
a great 2024
Yes.
and a not great 2025. So I don't know what to make of Mark Vientos. I don't. So, and I'm not sure the Mets do either. Hence, where does he fit in? I don't know. Maybe part-time first base. That's not really a huge role. So there's DH at bats to be had. Like I said, the Mets have a lot of holes and aren't really spending big on individual players right now to fill them.
Quick question. Do you think that the Red Sox had real interest in Pete, but they had to wait for Bregman?
I know my understanding is that the Red Sox preferred Bregman, but liked both. They were engaged with Pete, planned to meet with Pete last night. I didn't confirm that actually happened, but it was on the agenda.
I saw them. They were at the gold crowd on the street.
There you go. You're on top of it.
I'm just kidding.
He was here yesterday.
He was here yesterday.
Yeah. So they were in on Pete.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to happen, to be honest. You know, people talk about his wife being from Quincy and a match there, Fenway Park, perfect fit, all that stuff. If you're a right-handed hitter, you'd rather be at Fenway than Camden Yards, all things considered. But 5 years and $155 million is going to do a lot of convincing. So the Orioles got it done, took it away from the Red Sox.
Kratz's favorite two words in sports: in, on. Red Sox were in, on.
Or we tried.
Did
We
not
tried.
end up with Pete. Okay,
We tried.
one more on Pete. Tell me what the Orioles are getting, and you cover the AL East now.
Yeah.
How does this change the AL East? Like, give me your Pete impact / Orioles take.
So he's exactly what the Orioles needed, right? They have all those young guys, and it didn't go great in 2025. Now they have a veteran who's going to be good for 35 to 40 home runs, 100-plus RBIs, and you put him in the middle of the lineup, take a pressure off Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, Westberg, etc., and maybe the Orioles start to cook with gas next year. They still need to figure out the pitching thing, but I'm sure they're on top of it. As far as the AL East,
I don't want to go right past that.
well, hey, listen,
Don't
the
you think
Orioles
they
are
have
not a
pitching
perfect team.
staff in the AL East right now.
Yes,
no?
yes, they have plenty more work to do.
Okay.
Absolutely, because the AL East is so good. The Blue Jays almost won the World Series. The Yankees won as many games as the Blue Jays in the regular season, and you got to figure they're going to be there every year. The Red Sox, we'll see how the offseason goes, but they made the playoffs. They should be building on that. Crochet, full year of Roman Anthony, all that good stuff. They have a good foundation. They need their other pieces. We'll see how that goes for them. And then the Rays are always a little bit of a wild card. So it's the AL East is loaded. And Alonso helps the Orioles, but I don't know that the Orioles are better than the third or fourth best team right now in the division. For sure.
All right, well, let's go to the Red Sox then. Are they making sure they're not bidding against themselves with Alex Bregman because of the impact? We've talked about it, like the impact he made on the team last year. Do they have to be leery of that because of who else really is in on him?
That's a great question. And there hasn't been a lot of buzz, right? That sounds like the Tigers aren't super keen on it. There was a report about the Cubs last week, and they're just posturing probably, but they do have Matt Shaw. Like, they're not desperate for Alex Bregman, even if they like him. Who else is in on Alex Bregman? I don't really know. So the Red Sox do have to be careful of that. They're under Craig Breslow, a very patient, deliberate, intentional operation. So I don't think they're going to bid against themselves, but guys are coming off the board. Schwarber's gone. They never made an offer. Pete's gone. The pressure is on the Red Sox now, I think, to do what it takes to keep Alex Bregman.
Okay, so the Red Sox, we know, need Bregman. They love Bregman, obviously, with Alex Cora. Is Casas the answer at first base? Because that's like the one question that nobody can answer, right? They had to go get Nathaniel Lowe last year because Casas can't stay healthy. They had Toro and Romy Gonzalez there the 1 year. Bregman, if they get Bregman, he solidifies third, right?
Yeah.
We know that. Story, whoever's at second, Meyer, Campbell, whoever that person is, the outfield's really set, catching set. First base is the one place that you're still like, where are the Red Sox at? Is that Tristan Casas?
I don't think
that's like that's.
I don't think it is, because he's been injured most of the past 2 years. So how can you possibly count on that? Never mind the fact that it was a major, major knee injury, and I'm not totally sure he'll be fully healthy and ready to go on opening day. He's at a point in his career where he needs to reestablish himself. And I don't think that is going to come at the beginning of 2026 as the everyday first baseman for the Red Sox. They still like him. There's still plenty of talent and strength and power there and all of that stuff. He's not old by any means. He's 24, I believe. And I don't think it's Casas. I think there's going to need to be another answer, whether that's maybe Eugenio Suarez, who Red Sox have been in touch with and interested in. I think there's mutual interest there. So first base is very much open in the air.
So much good quotes and so
Yeah.
many good things to talk about. Forget the baseball.
He's an
Casas
interesting
is
cat.
good he's like just does crazy stuff and he gives you something to talk about.
Yeah. Everybody loves stuff to talk about, especially us.
True.
What about the catching position? Because I think it was your article that said there's a possibility with Real Muto. I'm not saying it would be Real Muto just because of how it works, but like the decline from the start of the year for Carlos Narvaez, some concerns about different things. Is this a position where they're looking for kind of like not a platoon, but like a half and half situation? Or would they go to the top of the trade market with like an Adley? Well, Adley wouldn't go there from Baltimore, but like, would they make a big splash at the catching position, or do they feel fine with Carlos Narvaez?
I think the change at catcher is a really down ballot offseason potential plan. Credit where it's due. That was the Athletic that linked initially the Red Sox to JT Realmuto. I have confirmed that they've sniffed around on him, but it doesn't make a ton of sense off the bat this offseason, right? They have Carlos Narvaez, and he was way more than they thought he was going to be coming into 2025, and took that starting job and tired at the end, and didn't have as good a second half as he had a first half. He was, in my opinion, a borderline all-star in the first half, but he's a great defensive catcher, a great framer. The pitchers love him. So a change there I don't think is at the top of the agenda right now. If a bunch more bats come off the board and they believe JT Realmuto is going to bounce back, then I could see them going that route. But I just don't think it's a primary consideration right now, as much as I do like JT Realmuto as a player. One of my favorite players to watch for the past 6, 7, 8 years.
What do you think of the moves the Red Sox have made thus far with Sonny Gray and Johan Oviedo acquisitions, and compared to what you've seen the rest of the division do? I know we're early in the offseason.
Yeah, I think it's fine. The Red Sox have a ton of starting depth right now. They have you could probably build 2 rotations comfortably with what they've got. Johan Oviedo is a little bit of not quite a lottery ticket because he's pitched in the majors plenty, but the Red Sox think there's upside there, and they liked what they saw in his 9 starts back from Tommy John surgery. Before that, hadn't pitched since 2023. So with Sonny Gray, he's a good pitcher. He's going to be healthy, or at least has been historically, and 200 strikeouts, front of the rotation, been an all-star in the past. Like he's been there, done that, veteran presence, and that's good. I'm staying open-minded to the Red Sox potentially adding another starting pitcher by opening day. I think it's going to be, they can go with Sonny Gray as their number 2, but he's not that true number 2, or better yet, that 1B to Garrett Crochet. So let's see what happens the next 3 months.
This is, I guess, why GMs don't talk very much, but Craig Breslow, or president of baseball operations, said they're not looking for 3s and 4s. They're looking for, or 4s and 5s. They're looking for that 1B, like you just said. Did they accomplish this, or did they accomplish it by saying, well, we'll get 2 3s?
I don't think they quite accomplished it, and I do like Sonny Gray. He's a very useful pitcher, would pitch in a playoff rotation for anybody, absolutely. But I think if you're talking about competing with the Blue Jays, who just added Dylan Cease, or the Yankees, who in theory will have Garrett Cole coming back, midway through the season, and have Max Fried as their 1-2 punch. The Red Sox don't quite have that true 1B, as you said. But like I said, I'm staying open-minded to that changing between now and opening day, or never mind the trade deadline by the time the playoffs roll around.
Okay, so you have to understand, Kratz's favorite pitcher in the planet is Oviedo. So
Okay.
it broke his heart when he got traded because he was just such a fan for the
Yeah.
last couple of years. He always talked. I mean, the guy's gigantic. He's got great stuff. But
6'6", 275. I did not realize
until you
that.
stand there, you don't understand how big this guy is. But my question about the pitching is, yes, you have Crochet. Yes, Sonny Gray's a nice pickup. Oviedo, can he stay healthy? How do they get more? You say they have depth, right? And they have some young kids who came up and did a nice job. But how do they get more out of their pitching other than Crochet? Because the rest of those guys, Sonny Gray's a 5-inning guy.
Yeah.
Oviedo wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
So can the Red Sox and Craig Breslow figure out how to get more out of the guys that they have acquired?
Yeah. So you're starting Craig Breslow, the pitching infrastructure whiz with the Cubs, came to the Red Sox 2 years ago, and that was a big part of his whole deal. And you're starting to see that trickle up to the major leagues in the form of Peyton Tolley made it to the big leagues in his first professional season. Connolly early got to the big leagues faster. He drafted in 2023. Got to the big leagues faster, throwing harder than really anybody reasonably expected in a very short amount of time, 18 months after he got drafted. So it's part of that whole bottom-up pitching approach, and you're starting to see it. It's Crochet, Gray, Bayo, Oviedo. Sandoval's coming back from injury. Crawford's coming back from injury. Those are like the top 6. And then after that, you got Hunter Dobbins, Peyton Tolley, Connolly early. Luis Perales is a super interesting prospect. And then behind them, further away, Kyson Witherspoon, first-round draft pick in June, might open the season in AA, which would be a heck of a feat. That would put him, with success, not a guarantee, on the major league radar for by the end of the season. So the Red Sox like their pitching pipeline. The proof is starting to be in the pudding. But, whether they groom, whether they have a homegrown number 2 in there, time will tell.
Okay. Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
Took shots at the Red Sox or the Yankees.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fun.
Hunter Dobbins took his shots
Yeah.
at the Yankees. Schlittler
Yeah.
took his shots at the Red Sox fans. Do we have Yankee Red Sox back now? Is it back to what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago? Back, the 03, 04,
it's not that
all that
high. It would be so hard to be that hot.
True, but
I would
you
love
got
for that to
actual
happen.
players now taking shots
Yes.
at organizations and fans.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Right?
I fully support all of those players in those endeavors. I think it's a lot of fun. Baseball's better when Red Sox, Yankees are hot.
As much as all the fans hate it and they're like, it's Red Sox, Yankees again. When those two are going good, nothing's better, especially when they're both really trying like it seems like they are now, and they're spending the money. Because if you remember, like 03, 04, before the Red Sox won, they're like, the Yankees got this guy. Well, we got to go get this guy. And then, or the Red Sox got him. Well, the Yankees were like, we got to go get him. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I am.
And it's always better when the players are talking trash to each other.
That's absolutely true. And better yet, when they have like bona fide animosity toward the organization is one thing, but sometimes each other. That's the next level, right? When the benches start clearing and stuff like that. So it's not that to that level of rivalry heat right now, but we can hope, right?
Hey, Tim, good to see you. Hey, we
Likewise.
got more than we bargained for. We thought we were just going to talk Red Sox with you, but
we can do it all.
It's a Pete day. Yeah, you got a multi-tool little scenario going here.
I try.
You covered the Mets.
I got to just try to square up a pitch when I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you do.
So
and now he's in your division that you're covering. Now you get to cover people a little more.
That's true. AL East.
That's right. And he's a fun-loving guy. That's Tim Healey. Make sure you check out all his work. What do we got on your Twitter handle? What's your Twitter handle these days, Tim?
What's your Twitter handle?
At Tim
B. Healy.
Yeah,
Healy
in there, and Healy, and also check out all of his work in the Boston Globe, of course, too. We're gonna do a quick shift change. Give us like a minute, and then Bob Nightengale from USA Today will sit in the chair. We'll ask him about Pete and what else is going on.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked this morning. I decided to sleep in a little bit. Your boy went to bed late. later yesterday, and I wake up and I see the all-important, the almighty Jeff Passan reporting, and it wasn't a Jet Passan, it wasn't a fake Jeff Passan account, reporting the Dodgers are landing Edwin Díaz on a perfect deal for the Dodgers. We knew, the reports were Edwin Díaz looking for somewhere in that 5-year deal, that 5-year range, and $100 million. I was like, there's no way the Dodgers are going to that. However, you bring it down to 3 years, lower that commitment, crank up the money. And this is what the Dodgers have been trying to do with players for years. The big difference now, this is every bit, it's been a destination for a year, for years. It's been a destination for at least a decade. But Alana, now this is the preeminent destination for baseball players to want to come here. So I love every bit of this. You get your closer. I'm shocked. I was absolutely shocked. What about you?
I did not think that they would do this. I think the reason that it came together is because A, Andrew Friedman's a genius. B, I think Edwin Díaz really wanted to come to Los Angeles and he was willing to lower the years. I'll take a higher AAV for 3 years than a lower AAV for 5. I'm absolutely in on this. I love this. There are deferrals, of course, because it is Los Angeles and that's the way that we're doing things right now. But I'm okay with that. Joel Sherman, who is the columnist for the New York Post, of course, he's also on MLB Network. Sources say deferrals on Diaz's deal with the Dodgers, $4.5 million annually for the 3 years for luxury tax purposes, will calculate at roughly $21.1 million. I don't care. The man's going to get his money. It's guaranteed money in baseball, which I like for the player. I don't care if you get it at the front end, the back end, Bonnie Bonilla end, whatever you do, I will take that. And how about that? I get my closer. I thought it was really important that the Dodgers didn't have that revolving door at the back end of the bullpen. And man, what was already a good bullpen, not a great bullpen, but if he can do what he did, Clint, before he got hurt and what he did last season, I'm in.
Hey, we're in. We're back. We're in Orlando right now, and a lot of people are leaving, but things are happening. This tends to happen. Bob Nightengale, USA Today, regular on FT, joining us right now. Give us the inside word on what you heard about Pete Alonso moving over to Baltimore and the Mets kind of being like, nah, we're not going to throw you an offer.
I don't think it's a surprise, really. I don't think they wanted him back last year, David Stearns. I thought there was no way they were going to bring him back this year. He wants to make that team his own way. They grossly underperformed last year, big underachievers. So, hey, he didn't care in Milwaukee. Remember when he traded Josh Hader, and he's doing it his style.
What's not to like about Pete? They don't like his defense. What's not to like? They don't like his defense? What's the problem?
I just think they think he's not going to be the same player. This guy posted 160 games each of the last 3 years. I think they think the defense can go sour. I think they want to change. Not that Pete was fine in the clubhouse, but I think they want to change that whole dynamic there. You're just trading, getting rid of 3 popular guys with Nimmo and of course Diaz and now Alonso. I think he says it didn't work. Let me do my way.
Okay, well, what's his way then? Because
think
you have Soto, you're stuck with Soto. You ain't moving him. You got Lindor still.
Yep.
You got McNeil, who everyone's like, oh, they could he didn't have a great year. What's his way? He tried his. I thought we've talked about this. He tried his way, bringing in cheaper starting pitching and trying to hope he won in the margins. You're the Mets, man. You got Uncle Stevie Cohen, right? Like he's willing to spend. Go get the big fish.
I think he's doing his way like Milwaukee. Hey, it worked in Milwaukee. I'm going to see it work in New York.
But did they win a World Series in Milwaukee?
They did not win a World Series.
Then did it really work? That's the next thing.
At least they're in the playoffs every year.
Is that what we've now become as a sport? Because when I talk to people, they're like, well, if we get in, we have a chance.
Right.
But if you get in and get swept in 2 games, then was it still a good year?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
But I think everybody just said get in. And, when you look back now, did he really want Juan Soto? I don't think so. I think it was the Steve Cohen sign. What we're seeing right now is, it's probably a deal where, hey, Steve, you got your way last year. Now let me do it this way. You're paying me the most of any executive in baseball. I'm not going to just sign checks. I'm going to do it my way.
Is there any indication of the players that they've kept around of what that way is? AJ kind of asked this too. Like, what is that? Because in Milwaukee, it was just, fine little value on the margins. He doesn't need to do that in New York. He has to do that, but he doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, it's almost like he just wants to change the entire culture. I think he was so disgusted about it last year, just the way they underachieved, that something was wrong. So I think there's been more stories coming out, particularly in spring training, like what was going on. We already saw stories, last couple of weeks about the whole relationship, with the Lindor and Soto, which was always whispered, now starting to become more public.
All right, let's go to where Pete went to. Pete went to the O's. Are the O's going to still be able to get pitching? Do they want to get pitching, or is Mike Elias on the same line as David Stearns? Like, no pitching over 3 years. Like, this is all. And we're going to see the same Orioles again from last year, but with more homers.
No, I think they got to get a couple of pitchers. That was a disaster for the Orioles, too. I mean, as much as the Mets underachieved, so do the Orioles. So I think they'll definitely go get at least one big guy, if not two. I think Rubenstein is spending some money. He's trying to get the fans back. So, no, I fully expect him to hit the pitching market for sure.
Who? Give us a name. Zach Gallen?
I think they'll go bigger than that. I think Amaya try to get that.
Oh, wow.
I think Michael King.
Okay.
I think they'll go after a couple of big boys.
So the Orioles are going to go do that. That would help. Because right now, if
yeah.
you look at their team, we had this discussion. Are they better than the Blue Jays where the Blue Jays are at right now? Are they better than the Red Sox? Are they better than the Yankees?
If they get some pitching, you can argue they're better
I'm
than the Red
talking
Sox.
about right. I'm not talking about.
Yeah.
Listen, we've ifs and buts all the time, but I'm saying right now where they stand, they're fourth, maybe
third.
ahead of which one?
I put them right behind the Blue Jays. I put them ahead of the Yankees.
Wow!
Right now.
Wow! You heard it. You heard
You
it.
put the O's ahead of the Yankees right now?
Right now. Yeah.
Wow.
You
think there's enough
I mean,
pitching
Yankees
there
need
with
some
what
help.
they have?
Cole, Rodon, and Fried, top three.
Schlittler?
Schlittler, Luis Heel.
I'll take the offense.
Cole and Rodon won't pitch till May.
Yeah, we'll see how they do after missing all the time last year. Exactly.
Okay. That's fair. I like.
Let's go. It's a toss-up.
Okay, so then who's the next big guy to go? Who do you think is the best? Because Schwarber, boom, then right away Pete Alonso. So who do you think is it Tucker? Is it Bellinger? Is it a pitcher? Is it one of the pitchers you're talking about? Who do you think is the next big domino to fall?
I think Bellinger signs after Tucker. I think whenever Tucker gets, Bellinger's going to want close to it. If someone's going to give Tucker a 8, 9, 10-year contract, Bellinger wants the same thing, maybe 1 year shy at the same money. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, as soon as Schwarber got 5 years at 150, you knew that Boras was going to top it. So, $1 more million a year. Same type of thing. So I think the two play off each other. I still think Bellinger and Tucker are a little ways away.
What about the trade market? We haven't actually seen any of those big trades happen yet. Ketel Marte, Scooble sounds lofty, but maybe I'm off there. Do you think him, Ketel, Tarek, or somebody else, upper echelon, gets moved in the next couple weeks?
I think the Marte market is picking up. When the 2 weeks ago I thought, okay, they're not going to trade him. I think too many people are showing interest. I think he goes to Red Sox. I think the Red Sox have got the pitching, get it done. Then we'll see what they do with Bregman. But I think the Boston is saying, you know what, we're not going to wait all day for Bregman. Let's go get Marte. And that he'd fit in that clubhouse, and Alex Cora would be a perfect manager for him.
I can't argue that. All right, so there's a couple teams that everyone's asking that have kind of sat out. Where are the Cubs in this whole thing? Because we haven't heard
Chicago, AJ.
Huh?
In Chicago.
Well, I know they're in Chicago, but Cubs fans are. Why aren't we doing anything? Where's Jed Hoyer and Tom Ricketts and Craig Counsell to make their moves? Because if you look around, the Dodgers clearly got better, right? So teams are starting to make their moves. The Phillies bring back Schwarber. Where are the Cubs? They were a good team. They were a playoff team last year.
I think they get one or two starters. I really do. I don't know about offense. They talk about Matt Shaw all the time. I'm not sure Bregman's a fit there. I think they think that Matt Shaw can handle it. Go get some, little help. I don't see him spending big unless they get Amaya. I think they're right in the mix for Amaya. I think when the final deal is done, they'll be at least a finalist.
Kratz?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's plenty of teams that have to get in on some of these free agents. Are the teams leery of where the market's been set because of the fact that older players over 30 years old have gotten 150 million, and couple that with the CBA looming, or teams going, CBA's looming, we're going to go hard, and who cares what the rules what happens with the rules after this?
Yeah, I haven't heard any agent that said the CBA's impediment to negotiations. I think the big question is how many years does Tucker get? I don't think he's going to get the big 10-year contract. I don't know if the Blue Jays are going to do it. I know the Dodgers will not do that. He might get a high AAV, but I think maybe he might have to settle for the if these guys are getting 5-year deals, maybe 6, 7 years tops.
Okay. So you keep hearing the Reds were in on Schwarber. The Pirates were in on Schwarber and Naylor. So they've shown they have money to spend. Will they actually spend it? Now, I give the Orioles a ton of credit. They said they were in on Schwarber, didn't get him, pivoted right away, got Alonso. But will a team like the Reds and the Pirates actually use the money that they've said we clearly have this amount of money? Will they actually go out and get other players now to make their team better?
Talking to Reds, no. They thought that.
So the Reds just said Schwarber or nothing.
Yeah, and then he was going to sell that many tickets. He was going to make a lot of money for the Reds.
But as
remember
a fan,
when Griffey went there?
As a fan, should you say you have that money? Let's go use it to get our team better. We were in the playoffs.
But they thought that Schwarber, just being a hometown guy, they would make half of his contract just with the tenants, marketing stuff. They didn't think Alonso could do that. They don't think Bellinger could do that. So now the Pirates might spend some money, but I don't see the Reds jumping in and said, okay, here's $150 million we could have spent. I think they'll just hang on to it.
They were almost there. The Reds didn't want to just keep going. And by the way, for everyone to know, the Rule 5 draft is coming up in like 10, 15 minutes. We're not covering it. We'll talk about anything that happens there, but that's why it is a quarter-zip biker gang running around behind us right now. But anyway,
I think the Reds would have kept going if they wanted to. I think they had the feeling, and I think Schwarber said once he got to 5 years at 150, don't even bother. I'm going back. I think he had that kind of respect for the Reds organization. So I think even the Reds that said, here's 6 at 180, Phillies would have said, okay, 6 at 180. So they would have gone 150.
Okay. I've got one for you on the Dodgers. They pick up Edwin Díaz. The rich get richer. What do you think they could do? Or are they just kind of hanging out and saying, hey, if something falls in our lap, they clearly thought that Edwin Díaz was a nice value, and I expected him to get at least 4 years. He ends up getting 3. What did you think of that whole situation?
I just think the market dried up. There wasn't teams that wanted to do it. The Dodgers made the most sense. And I think they kind of sit back. Like I said, remember last year they played around the Soto market. I think they'll play around in the Tucker market. I don't think they'll be in on Bellinger. So I think they'll just say, who falls in our lap.
What does
One more for you while we're on the Dodgers real quick. Oh, go ahead, Kratz. Are you on the Dodgers or are you switching?
It was on closers. It was on closers with because the fact that 3 of them are off the board now. Does this make Robert Suarez's market better, or just what you said about Edwin? Like, you know what? People weren't really into going 4 years. Does this make Robert Suarez's market a little more tenuous?
Well, I think he'll get at least a strong 2-year deal, and I think he'll get close to the not get $23 million a year like Diaz, but I think he can get around the $20 million mark, at least close to it. So I actually think it helps because he's the last big guy available. But his age obviously hurts him. But no, I think it helps his market.
Were you in the room when Dave Roberts made his comment, or kind of doubled down on his salary cap comment? So, because Kratz was like, I want to hear more context of it. Well, give us the context of the room, because it's funny. A lot of people are like, how ironic. The highest paid manager on the team with the highest payroll, back-to-back champs, whatever, wants to cap it down.
Yeah, I mean, a reporter asked a question directly and read off the notes, and he says, hey, I'm going to tell him my opinion. I'm not changing what I said. I'm not apologizing for what I said. This is what I believe. But he did say, hey, the game's going great. I think it's fine the way it is. But he did reiterate, if we have a cap, need a floor. He wants these small market teams to start spending money. But he says, hey, I'm not backing off what I said.
Question for you. Do you think that his players would be pissed at a comment like that? I mean, he's got a lot of high-paid players on the team. It's a real thought, right? I mean, I'm speaking to many people on both sides of the equation there, and ultimately, when you make a comment like that, it will lead to players making less money. I know fans don't really give a crap, right? Everybody's really rich in this scenario, but it does affect the players he's talking about. Plus, he used to be a player.
He addressed that, and someone said, "You think it'll affect your relationship with players?" He said, "No, I got a great relationship with our players. I'm entitled to my opinion," and that was kind of the end of it. But he was asked about that, and he doesn't think it will have any effect.
Huh.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right. Last thing for me. You know who my allegiances are to, Bob. Are the White Sox going to actually spend money besides Anthony Kay? Because Chris Getz came out and they got the first pick overall. They're going to take probably the guy from UCLA unless something crazy happens. Are they going to actually spend money, and are they going to do something, Bob?
I don't think so.
Give us hope, Bob. Give us hope. You're tight with Reinsdorf. Give us hope.
I mean, they're so far away. Why spend money? It's not going to help you right now.
Yeah, but it might help you
How
2 years
far
from
away? It's already been 2 years of crap. How many years away are we here?
I mean,
Actually,
this is the second
3 maybe.
rebuild in 5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
their window was open about a year and a half.
Their
and
window
then
was
shut.
2005, Bob.
Wait, but how many bad years has it been already, AJ? 3?
Well, 23 is when it really started, and then they lost 100. 24 was the year they set the record, and then 25. I mean, they got better. They couldn't be even worse, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but
this is
now
year
it's time
4
to start.
already.
Yeah. I think it's going to be at least in our year. I mean, they're not even close to the Tigers and Cleveland, that sort of thing. So I mean, who are they going to bid on? I mean, if you sign a guy like Cody Bellinger, I mean, you're not going to win for a few years anyway.
Yeah, but the Nationals
I think
did
they
that
wait
with
one more year.
Nationals did that with Jason Worth, and look where it got them.
It did.
Tigers did that with Pudge Rodriguez and Maglio and got to the World
They
Series in
did.
2 years.
I think they're further away.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But all these trades and all these things, though, Bob, quit breaking my heart. Quit breaking my heart, Bob.
You got the number one pick.
Bob used to cover me in Minnesota, break my heart every time Bob came up to me. I'm like, Bob, am I getting traded? Am I getting sent to AAA? But now he's doing it. Now he's doing it with the White Sox.
I get the number one pick. Excited.
That's true. Number 1 pick.
Number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Harold Baines came through for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Big time.
Well, Bob, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you in person. Enjoy the remains of the winter meetings. Are you going to this Rule 5 draft?
I am, just to see what Mets officials I can find and talk about.
Oh,
There you
boy.
go.
Oh, boy.
I like it. All right.
It's the
Well,
only reason I'm going in that room.
good. Because I was like, do you really care?
No, I do not care.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk to you after you get that word. Maybe later this week or early next week. Thanks again, Bob.
Sure. Thank you,
All right.
guys.
FT fan, we'll be right back. We have a John Schneider conversation coming soon for you. Managers meeting. Blue Jays manager John Schneider sitting next to us right now in Orlando, live at the winter meetings. Schneid's, good to see you, man.
Thank you. Good to be here. Good seeing you guys as always.
Do you see who they put in the middle of the managers meeting? Do you see who they put the last one right in the middle?
Big Tony.
Yeah, like the best looking manager in
I mean,
baseball. Like
it's
they're
gonna
like,
be-
oh look.
It's tough to be in the same room with that guy. I just met him for the first time, and I was kind of like, cowered away quickly. Just didn't want to look at him too long.
Did you say, hey, rookie, to like a third of the room?
Yeah, what's up, Brooke? Welcome to the big leagues. No,
Well, you could do that with Butera. You could
I'm
do
so-
that with.
I know.
There's a whole bunch of
I
them.
know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new guys. I feel like not the new guy now, kind of a little bit. So it's nice to get to know these guys too. I think Tony's doing obviously cool stuff with Tennessee, and really well respected. So anxious to kind of get to know him a little bit.
How are you feeling after your October?
I'm tired. I mean, I think I'm at the point now where you're kind of past the obsession of looking at everything and being disappointed, and you kind of look back at all the good that we did do. 94 wins compared to 74 the year before. Winning the AL, winning the division, so many cool stories. And I think just, being really, really proud of how we kind of raise the level of expectation and standards with the Blue Jays, and on to 2026 and how we can get back there.
All right, so that's going to lead me right to my question. We had Hinch on yesterday, and
Yeah.
they lost an epic series to the Mariners, who you guys went on to beat. When do you get over it? Because I asked him, I said, when do you get over it? He goes, you're thinking I'm over it.
Right.
And he didn't even get as far as, you guys were
inches
away from having everything.
I got asked that yesterday, and I don't think I'll ever get over it. I think that the only thing that gets you over it is getting back there and winning it, but I think just I'll think about that series and that team and so many crazy plays forever, so you kind of take a lot of pride in being part of it and being able to manage that. I tried to really take in the days and the moments before the game started and just appreciate where you are. So in terms of getting over it, I think it'll just be with me kind of forever.
What moment is it for you? Because in 14, we lost Game 7 with Alex Gordon on third. For me, it's the Joe Panic moment where he dove back up the middle to stop to start a ground ball double play. Like, I think about that as much as I think about Gordo hitting a triple in the left center field gap. What's the moment for you when you think about the loss? Because that's what it is. It's a loss.
Right.
What you think about?
The one I always go back to is bases loaded in Varsh and the ground ball to Rojas. That's what I always go back to. Like, would be lying if I didn't say, you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about that play. I still do, not, every week, but maybe every couple weeks at this point. But there were so many other things. It was so weird to have that play not go your way, by a matter of inches. And then 20 seconds later, kind of the same thing happens when Ernie hits the ball to left and Pages and Kike, are running into each other. So you're in your mind, you're expecting a different outcome. You're expecting that ball to drop, or you're expecting, a wide throw home, and none of them really happened. So you just find yourself in this moment of wow. And then you kind of you have 3 minutes to readjust and get back to the next inning. But those, obviously, because they were the last, images really for us, that we had a chance. And so many things, though, going back to Game 6 with the ball getting stuck in the wall, and the 18-inning game in Game 3. There's just so many, but I think the ones that just were the last ones is what sticks out to you.
All right, so in spring training, you go over things that are going to help you guys win the World Series. That play you just talked about, the Dalton Varsho play, is there anything in spring training that's going – obviously it's going to be brought up. People are going to be like, ugh, that are still there. Is there anything that will change as far as the approach to that play, how you guys will approach it, and from the Isaiah Kiner-Falefa base running?
Yeah, I think you're always trying to learn and get better, right? That's like the corporate answer, and that's kind of how we operate. But it gives you a chance to kind of drill down a little bit more. Looking back, I think we could have done a better job of getting Izzy off a little bit. Like, it wasn't, runner at third on contact. You're just going. He's reading the play. He's understanding that Will Smith likes to pick the third with a left-handed hitter up. Izzy's a smart baseball player, so all those things are going through his head. If anything, just kind of drilling down a little bit more. And the odds of Varsh, I think, lining out to third are very, very slim. So giving himself a little bit more room off the bag, and maybe that's the difference, So I think all those things, as bad as it was in real time, and as it will be forever, you say, what could you do different? I think that's the one thing, that we could have done a better job for him, to give him the freedom to get off a little bit. But I know he's gotten the brunt of it, man, and I hate that he's wearing it. I think the world of him as a player, and he's a smart baseball player. So that's it, man. If we can prepare a little bit more and just say, hey, if this situation comes up and it is Dalton Varsho against a right-handed pitcher, you can give yourself a little bit more room.
I got two things on, and I hate to bring this up, but it was such a big thing. There was so much back and forth. He did it right. He didn't do it right. Carlos Febles, I've known forever, your third base coach. Did he tell him where to stand and where to start, right? Fine, that's neither here nor there. My thing is, you were a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
I was a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
I played in the World Series. I played in huge games. There's not a chance in holy hell
he's picking
that he is picking at third base with the World Series on the line, because all he's got to do is if IKF doesn't go in and hits him in the back, they lose the
Game
World.
over.
Ain't happening.
Right.
And we had Max Muncy, and he said, "Oh, we had talked about it." Bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no chance that he is
I
picking
saw
up.
Max say that.
There's no chance that pick is happening. And then so that's fine. I get, all these things are going through your head. It's happening fast. But have you seen the new thing that teams are doing? The Tigers do it. The Rays do it. Where there's a right-handed hitter, they take their guy on third and they put him in fair territory. And they have the runner actually take his lead in fair territory. And I asked why they do this. And Hinch drew me a diagram, but Joey Cora had already told me why they do it. And it's to get the third baseman off the line, because the chances of Dalton Varsho hitting a line drive to the third baseman are like almost zero.
Right.
Okay. But it makes the third baseman get off the line. It takes away the pick because the third baseman's too far away. And plus, when the third is a catcher, when you look down there and the guy's already you're got no lane to throw it.
Yeah.
So, and then it eliminates, let's say Varsho just hit a ground ball to third. You're kind of already in his lane to throw it home.
Yeah.
So have you seen that play? And now we talk about that like Kratz said in spring training.
Yeah. I think that, there's always things that are just kind of counter moves to a move. You know what I mean? That's stuff that we have to kind of, take into consideration for sure. And it's really hard. Like, I agree with you. I would have been shocked if Will tried to pick him off at third.
Listen, if Will Smith picks him off at third,
I mean,
you know what you say? You're like, you know what, dude?
Great job, right?
You got us.
So it's like there's all these advanced reports, and it's like, okay, he does do that. I think just removing yourself from just the information and just saying, all right, where am I right now? Was that going to happen? Probably not. I think it's just how Izzy checks down. You know what I mean? His checkpoint, just like, here's where I'm at. Here's where this guy is. But yeah, I've seen that play. I know the Tigers are really good at those things. We've seen guys do that. I saw guys this year even scoring from second, and they were just cutting so close. They are in the grass to try to make, a tough throw even tougher going into home plate. So those are, because of that play, we've definitely tried to dive into some of that stuff.
You've seen Vladdy since you guys were both babies. You kind of came up through the minor leagues with him. The run he put together in the playoffs, is that the hottest streak? I'm even talking Fisher Cat, Dunedin Blue Jay Vladdy. Like, is that the hottest streak or the most locked in you've ever seen? And do you feel like maybe a little bit, if it had been his free agent year, it would have been a little bit tougher for him to lock in? But since he had security, you know what? That's where he was at.
Starting with the security part, I think that when he did sign the extension, that kind of freed him up a little bit and freed up everyone a little bit. Like, hey, here's what we're doing right now, and here's what we're doing for the long term. So, yes, I have seen him as hot as that before. I've never seen him as locked in, and I noticed it even. We win the division, we got 4 or 5 days off, and we're doing workouts at the stadium. We're doing sim games and things like that. There was just a different way about him, even in those days leading up to the DS, and he carried it right on through the World Series. It was really cool for the world to kind of see him for the player he is, not just a hitter. Everyone thinks about the hitter, but what he did, running the bases, what he did defensively, he was just in the zone. He's in that spot where elite athletes, elite performers can get to. So now it's just, how do you maintain that? That's the next conversation with Vlad, is just how do you keep yourself there as much as you can? Almost impossible to do it 162. But he's shown he can do it. He was just on a different level. I think at one point, I don't know if he finished the postseason, but he had more home runs and strikeouts, which is pretty remarkable. So it was fun to be in the dugout watching him do his thing.
Okay. Well, then how do you carry this over to 2026? I know people say it's a different year, and I'm not talking about just Vlad. I'm talking about the team in general, because you guys were unbelievable. Your pitching was unbelievable. Your bullpen was locked in. You guys are getting huge hits from 1 through 9 in the lineup. As a manager, how do you carry this over to 2026? I know every year is different, but now you bring in Dylan Cease, and there's all kinds of rumors about, Toronto's kind of almost becoming like a little bit of a destination place where people want to go after seeing what you guys did last year. So how do you, as the manager, carry this over to the next year?
So I wish I knew. You know what I mean? I know
it's a good problem to have.
I know, right?
Right?
It's a good problem to have. A lot of people have been through this, and we actually met last week, brought the staff down here. We talked about that. It's like, how do you latch on to the good things we did? And it's easy to think about just the postseason, right? Because it just happened, but it wasn't always great. Back in April and May, we were grinding a little bit. And, okay, what did we do differently to get on this roll? So I think I've said this a lot. I feel like this year we've been very aligned top to bottom, front office to coaches to players and down to the minor league system. So I think everyone's doing their part. And, Ross has gone out and he's added 2 really good starting pitchers already. He's going to continue to try to make our team better. But I think my job and the staff's job is to just really stay on these guys. These guys that kind of turned into household names, Ernie Clement, Madison Barger, Alejandro Kirk. They kind of, I don't want them, Nathan Lucas, I don't want them to feel like they have to be anything different. That's my big, I don't want to say concern, but that's my focus with these guys going into next year is just you have to continue to be who you are and be good at what you're good at. So that part we'll have to, I think, drill down on a little bit. And then just how did the culture get to where it got to? And what everyone saw, throughout the postseason was legit and real. The guys loved each other. They loved coming to the park. They pulled for one another. They didn't care who got the credit. So from that standpoint, we've raised that expectation. You can kind of say, okay, this is how we do things. And I do think it helped, teams kind of took notice and players kind of took notice. The feedback that I was getting and the outreach I was getting during the postseason from other managers and other players was phenomenal. So how do we just bottle that up and say, what were we doing when it was really good, and let's continue to do it?
All right. Well, part of that culture was one of the reasons that Shane Bieber said, I'm going to pick up my player option. Now, from an outsider's view, and you can tell me which of these options is the case, he's either hurt and wants to guarantee this one next year, and so he might start a little later in the season. 2, this clubhouse culture is something that's never been seen before, and he would turn down $30+ million in the offseason. Or 3, you have pictures of him, and so it's blackmail, and you brought him back. So which is it?
It's definitely not 3. Bees is pretty tight. He's pretty buttoned up. I think, it's a weird thing coming off of Tommy John, you know what I mean? And he did everything we could have hoped for and more. He really fit in really well, really quickly with our group. And when I say that too, it was players, it was staff, and it was, their wives and kids too. I feel like we do a phenomenal job of that. So everyone kind of felt at home. And as of now, I mean, Biebs is on track for opening day. It's anyone coming off that surgery and then pitching as deep into the World Series as he did, coming out of the bullpen in Game 7, we're going to be mindful of his workload, So whether there was some doubt in his mind, I'm not really sure, but in terms of talking to him now and getting ready for spring, we're just going to be mindful and kind of take it week to week on how he's feeling. But the expectation is that he's going to be ready for opening day. So I think it's a combination maybe of the first 2, him taking care of himself physically, but at the same time being really comfortable in the surroundings he was in.
How real, before we move on, because I kind of hit on this and when we were doing our postseason stuff, with Tommy John guys, especially when they first come back, it's almost every other start, right? They have a really good start and they kind of and they lose it. And we asked him because we had him on, and he kind of admitted it in a weird way, like, yes, when you have one really good start and the next one it's not the same, and then the next one's really good again, and then So is that a real thing for guys that you've noticed with Tommy John?
Kind of, yeah. It's up and down. His first start in Miami was like, I think 6 scoreless, punched out 9, no walks, and everyone says command comes last. Stuff is there, but command comes last. He had his command throughout the whole time he was back with us, and there were some ups and downs. And I think it's just you spend so much time on a routine, on a schedule. Here's where I'm throwing. Here's my side day. Here's my game day. You don't really have time to deload a little bit. You're just going. So that probably plays into it. We tried to give him and everyone extra rest as we got down later in the season. Went to a 6-man at one point for a turn or 2 through. And you kind of never know. You know what I mean? To me, it's always the next year. Then guys are really feeling like themselves, and they have a regular off season, not a rehab off season, and hopefully kind of hit the ground running and get back to the Cy Young caliber pitcher that he has been.
Okay, then let's talk about another one of your pitchers. There's a big story that came out not too long ago. A guy missed the World Series.
Yes.
Did you know? Did you understand? Because I know he was mad, but how weird is that? And then then you have a whole conversation about his teammates and what do they do. So how do you handle that going into spring training?
I think you handle it in the offseason. For one, I mean, Hosey's been so good for us, and he was not happy moving out of the rotation. That was well documented, and he probably took a day to be pissed, and then said, okay, this is what's best for the team. And unfortunately, goes on the IL. He had been battling that all year, and he's such a prideful guy in making his starts. So he was feeling it a little bit. And then when we were traveling back and forth to Seattle, some guys stayed back. He was one of those guys that stayed back. And then with the World Series, it was, hey, I need to spend time with my family. That's what we were told. We're obviously gonna, respect that. And he's a big time family man. And right now, you handle it the best you can. You say, hey, Hosey, we're here to help you get better. If he feels bad about it, or if his teammates have certain feelings about it, you just got to get in front of it and make sure that when everyone arrives in February, that everyone's kind of understanding what happened and on the same page and giving a little bit of forgiveness. But, Jose is a great teammate. He's done so much in his career. And I think that, when the dust settles, I think he'll be viewed, the exact same way as he has been his entire career.
Good answer.
Do you anticipate anybody in the clubhouse, like from uprisings that was happening? Because we talked about it, that guys in the clubhouse maybe would be pissed in spring training, but in the World Series, dog, we gotta play on the field. Like, we're not like, oh, who's not here? Oh no, like.
Yeah, it's in World Series. It's kind of like, hey, when does the game start? You know what I mean? You're not worrying about all these other things. How are we going to win tonight? I mean, really, it already has started to be handled. It will be handled before we get to spring training. So it's not a thing in spring training. It's just, him and myself and the other guys in the team just sorting through some things, kind of, airing some things out a little bit and saying, hey, Hosey, you're part of our rotation. It wasn't that we wanted to take you out of the rotation when Trey came up, but this is what we're doing right now to try to win. Doesn't mean it's going to be like that in 2026. So I think just squaring that away with him. And man, I mean, if we're going to get back to where we want to get to, he's going to be a huge part of it. So that'll be handled before we even get going in camp.
All right, 2026, defending American League champions. You already brought Dylan Cease. One of the biggest signings so far of the offseason. What's next for the Blue Jays? Do you have any say, or are you like, hey, I can't. I'm not going to name names, but
there was a visitation,
though.
There was a visitation.
There was a visitation.
That's
documented. Visit our complex, and I said no, it's only for free agents. But
I'm a free agent.
I'm still a free agent.
He said I'm still a free agent.
I've actually been to it because my son played for the Blue Jays scout team, so
okay.
They used to do all kinds of stuff there. It's incredible.
Pretty nice.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the best one I've seen.
I think it's one of one. I really do.
The only thing I hate, though, and this is me being nitpicky as hell, the stadium's not there, so you got to get on the bus.
I know.
You got the double-decker bus you guys have to get on.
We tried to build the whole complex by the stadium. There wasn't enough land, so we kind of had to do what we had to do. But in terms of what's next, I think you get Cease, you get Ponce in the rotation. We're still looking to add. We're still looking to add a bat. We're talking with Bo. We've met with Tucker. We'd love to have Bo back. You know what I mean? I think that what he does for our lineup and our clubhouse is kind of underrated and undervalued when you have a guy like Vlad who signed long term. But I think that's an area we want to address. Make sure we have another bat there, and then looking for some high leverage relief options. At the back end of the pen. So it's cool right now because we're hitting that part. This has been building for a few years in Toronto in terms of ownership support, payroll, players, facilities. And it's shown on the field. So I think having the success we've had makes it a little bit more desirable to come here. We've definitely heard that from players and agents, and comfortable to say that we will continue to try to get better as this month unfolds.
Can you put an over-under on the amount of starts that your organization feels Trey Savage is going to make? Obviously, just coming up last year, now has more playoff starts than regular season starts. We heard all the stories, just like you hitting a home run and then hanging up your cleats. They told the story like
Did they really?
They told it. No, Joe Davis told that story probably 7 times. Sick of it.
So that was when the Dodgers were losing. He just wanted to fill the air because when they were winning, he was going crazy.
Stop it!
You know what I mean?
No.
I got a bone to pick with Joe.
Stop.
I wasn't
Okay,
listening
stop
to the broadcast,
Stop
but anyway.
Stop.
Anyway.
Okay, hold on. No. Now we're gonna have a bone to pick because I do these games.
Yes.
What you have to understand is whoever's winning is who we talk about. Because what am I going to talk about if you're losing?
True. Maybe me hanging up my spikes as a bad player in spring training, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's a cool story.
Yeah, it's a cool story for like 1 second. You know what I mean? But I think Bo Bichette hitting the 3-run homer off Ohtani is a little cooler. And fly ball to center, that ball's gone. Iggy Rojas, can you believe? Anyway, that's not. Anyway.
Wait, so is it because he's a Dodgers guy,
Well,
or
yeah, and then
because
he
you felt?
then he
I mean,
emceed the
rises
parade.
for
You know what
calls
I mean?
for
You know what
both.
you sound like right now?
Joe is
Every Blue Jays fan on the planet.
I had to
right
get
now.
it out.
I know.
In case
I
anyone's
know.
watching
I don't-
this. I
Joe
love
is
Joe.
actually-
Hey,
Joe's
and he
great.
covered us the entire postseason. Him and Smoltzy, they're awesome, and he's got one of the best voices in the game. I love his energy. He reached out to me before it even started. We saw him for 3 days in LA, and he told me, "Hey, if you get to the postseason, I'm going to cover you." I got all the respect in the world for him. He's really cool. I think he's great at what he does, but I had to get that out there as a little subtle jab.
Little jab. Yep.
I can't believe my phone will be, as soon as this airs, my phone will be ringing.
Yeah,
And it'll be Joe, and he's going to be like, you need to tell
I should probably text him when I'm done with this.
Yeah, no,
All right.
he'll laugh. Because we have
A
this
warning
conversation
shot.
all the time. Like when I do games, and I don't care. Honestly, now Joe's a little different because he
Right.
does. But I really don't care who wins.
Right,
I just want a good game.
right.
But as you're doing the game, if you look on Twitter and you go to social media, why do you like this team? Why do you like the Blue Jays? Why do you hate the Dodgers?
right.
And then 2 seconds later, somebody will be like, why do you love the Dodgers? Why do you hate the And it's the same within a
know.
minute of each
I know.
other.
That
And
was
it's just
again,
depending on how you look at it.
That wasn't me. We didn't hear the broadcast. That was some complaints from some family and some friends and some other people around the
Because they're
the
rooting for the
industry,
Blue
'cause they're
Jays.
rooting for us, So, but going back to Trey, there's going to be no restrictions, really. You know what I mean? I think that we were really deliberate and careful with his innings this year, his first full season. And there wasn't an innings limit this year, and it's going to be a normal workload for him next year. I think just being very mindful of his offseason work. We've already been in touch with him numerous times about when he's starting to throw, and I think looking ahead, man, you pencil him in to make pretty regular starts for us. If that means 32, great. If it means 27, great. But we're looking for him to just slot it right into the rotation.
Did you keep him hidden the whole year on purpose? Because there's this big conspiracy theory that you guys didn't want to bring him up too early because we knew what we had and we don't want to show anybody.
There was maybe a little bit of gamesmanship, but at the same time, you're not trying to call a guy up and disrupt everything he's been doing. Just to transition to the big leagues. He came up, and I think there was like 2 weeks left in our season, and he pitched against Tampa, pitched against Kansas City, and then pitched against Tampa again.
All non-playoff teams, by the way.
Like,
Just saying.
But all like kind of must-win games to
Yeah,
try
true,
to win the
true,
division.
true.
So the one time we thought about, okay, Boston was in there. We were playing Boston at home and possible playoff opponent. Do we want them to see him? Because it's a unique look. Like it's tough to game plan for unless you've seen it. So that played into it a little bit. That was kind of the appeal to have him pitch against the Yankees as well, against a veteran team that can game plan really well. But no, we didn't hide him. I think we wanted to wait for the right time that we were really comfortable that he could contribute when he did come up.
I have one more, something really grinding my gears that I think you're going to like. It's about Dylan Cease. We had him on yesterday. He signs with you guys. And then, of course, if you're a fan of, say, the Padres, you're half going to miss him and you're pissed that he's going somewhere else, whatever, right? So we see a lot on social media, and you just get the endless, like, oh, if Ruben Niebla and the Padres pitching program couldn't get him to be a number one, then, like, this is such a bad signing, whatever. I basically told this to him yesterday, okay? So I just wanted to get your take on how you guys had conversations with him. And this is zero knock on prior teams. Let's also remember Dylan has had Cy Young high-level voting periods, right, and finishes in his lifetime. So I just wanted to get your take on that, because part of his answer was about, his slider shape, and it seemed like he was giving us a little taste of, hey, you can grade a pitch, but then what if I open up a little more and then you can see that pitch better? Is the pitch really grading well in terms of the shape, but they're seeing it out of my hand? So I just thought he got really granular, and it sounded like he did that with your team.
He did, yeah. He's a sharp guy, and I think that when you're presenting yourself to these players on a Zoom call with the agent and all this
Why
kind of
can't
stuff.
you fly him to Dunedin? He didn't get a.
I mean, that might have been next if he didn't sign. Might have just tried to show some bells and whistles off. But it was weird. Like, I think it was an hour and a half conversation, and we all on the call kind of hit it off. Pete Walker, Graham Johnson, Sam Green, bullpen coach and assistant pitching coach. They, kind of had some ideas, on a PowerPoint to say, here's where we think, obviously respecting his stuff and his swing and miss stuff, his profile of all of his pitches. Dylan was pretty adamant about, hey, how can you help maximize my potential? And that kind of opened a door for us. And I think what we've done a really good job of hiring coaches that have good content, but they can coach it. So when you get into that little presentation, some biomechanical stuff, some pitch design stuff with Sam and Graham, And then you kind of finish off the pitching thought as a whole with Pete Walker, who's going into year 15 with the Blue Jays. It's a pretty inviting thing to have for a pitcher who's very well aware of how his stuff works. So we felt when we hung up the phone that it was a really good match. He had some really cool feedback in that call. And, Scott Boras followed up with Ross and said he was really impressed with what we had to offer. So it happened quick, really. We signed him maybe like a week later after that call. And everyone's different. Some guys, they don't want all that information. We have it all. And he was a guy that really seemed like he wanted to hear it all. So that, I think, played into it. And Dylan's an easy guy to like.
He is.
All right, Schneider, last one. First of all, if Trey needs somebody to throw with, I'm just 20 minutes south of him, so give him my phone number.
Okay.
If he needs somebody to long toss, I'll
Are
definitely
you
show
still
him.
long tossing? Are you still long tossing?
Yeah, I'm a high school coach. I got to show these kids. I'm pretty sure my UCL's gone though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the days are numbered. But my last comment is during the World Series, we have a group thread that you're not on called the Roundup Slayers. It's Brad Hasse, Scott Dragisevich, and we were all going. I mean, it's the crew: Vito Chiarvelati, everybody.
Wow.
Carlo Coda. We were all going to come up. If you guys won the World Series, we were going to come up and surprise you at the parade. So just remember that when you're pushing the rest of the year, okay?
Okay. All right. Well, that is a carrot at the end of the stick that is like no other to try to win it next year. Join in the parade, and if I do see you guys, there'll be some beers involved, and drinks will be on me.
That was it. That pushes you over the top.
Yeah, that's all I need right
So wait,
there.
I want to know where your cleats are. Are they still hanging somewhere?
Yeah, there's some backfield in St. Pete, somewhere.
Field 3, St.
Carlos
Pete.
Collado. What was his name?
Field
Carlos
3.
Collado. He got him. He
Yeah.
took him and put him on. What was this guy? What was his name? Kratzy.
Who?
You said Carlos Collado?
These are the A-ball
was one of the
teammates?
guys you just named. Carlos
these are all-
Coda?
These are A-ball double A
No,
teammates.
Carlo Coda.
That's what I just
Carlito.
said.
Carlo Coda. Yeah,
He took
might have
he
taken
took
him.
that plus Carlos Collazo from
No.
Baseball America.
No, no. Jose Umbria took him because he was
Yeah, he
size
took
black.
everything. He
He
was
took
size
everything.
standard. Jose, what size you were?
Standard.
Standard. Yeah, I'll make it work.
You give it to me, I'll fit it. Schneider, good to see you, man. Thanks
You
for
too,
the time.
guys. Appreciate
Great
it.
to catch up and see you after all that. It was
Awesome.
a freaking hell of a ride to watch.
Thanks, man. It's fun to be a part of, and hopefully we get back there soon.
Mm-hmm. Let's charge them out. Let's get to some other signings. If you're just joining us now, we spent a lot of time talking about the Pete Alonso signing and the aftermath, but there have been a few other little moves. Gregory Soto signs with the Pirates. That was late last night. 1 year, $7.75 million. You can't just look at ERA. We get told that over and over again, especially with a reliever. It was a low fours ERA. Pitching for Baltimore and for the Mets last year.
He's a guy, though, that remember when he was the Tigers, he was an all-star, and people were like, this is the next great pitcher, and and then he got traded, and then he had the thing where he couldn't, he wanted to be the closer, and they're like, you don't throw enough strikes, and he's one of those guys that's like, he's got all the stuff in the world, but can he harness it? And maybe the Pirates can figure it out.
Okay. Sure. But hey, you know what? They moved in the direction of what do you need? You need a solid 7th, 8th inning guy. You need to have a closer in the bullpen. I think they already have those pieces set. So I think adding a guy like this, Gregory Soto, just a 1-year deal. So I love that they went into the pocket, did the job. Now, like we talk about the Orioles, what's the next thing? Some offense. The Orioles, it was starting pitching. We'll see if they do something. The Pirates, awesome job. Great job, Pirates. Pirates, great job. Make sure you guys clip that.
I've been so busy, I don't even know what you're referring to in terms of the vitriol that you're dealing with, but I guess I'll check it out on socials. We also have a show called Bucko Territory. I encourage you to check that out for more on this signing and what the the Pirates are up to. But speaking of the Tigers, Kyle Finnegan, 2 years, $19 million. So he was more coveted this offseason, and he moved over to the team that ends up signing him back. Remember, he had a hard time.
He did good. He did really well for the Tigers too.
They had the splitter usage skyrocket.
Yes, and he was really good for him. So he did really well this offseason. Great guy, good guest when we've had him on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy for him. And listen, that's a nice piece. It will vest in some of the other guys that they have, some of the younger guys that they have, and you throw Finnegan to the back end of this bullpen. Now they still need a starter for me, and they still need another bullpen piece, and they still need a bat. And they got to figure out. We didn't have time with Hinch yesterday, but I just wanted to know how did they figure out how to cut down the strikeouts they have? Because if you watch and I obviously watched their playoff series was all strikeouts. Like they struck out, it was 15 times a game. It was everybody strikeout, and then Kerry Carpenter would come up and hit a home run. Other than that, it was like strikeout. And it's a hard way to live.
I think
Hinch gave us the answer, by the way, Kratz. I'll say after you say.
What's that? I didn't hear what you said. The answer.
Well, do you remember AJ Przinsky said to AJ Hinch, "Oh, I wish we had more time. I wanted to ask you about the swing and miss in the playoffs." I don't know. You might have gotten lost in then another conversation with someone, but he was like, "When our guys go up to the dish, they are trying to make contact."
Well, I understand. I know this. Listen, I trust me. I know they are trying to make contact. There's an old saying: I can get anybody to try, right? Like I can get something to try, right? But you can listen. I, as a guy that made a lot of contact, and there was a couple. I went to some teams and they're like, "Hey, we want you to take more." Well, then it took away what I was good at, which was making contact. So there is a fine line but I think there are ways to make more contact. But he also said, if you remember what he also said, though, he goes, sometimes guys take too many and then they fall behind instead of being aggressive and getting 3 swings instead of 2 swings or 1 swing. He's like, so there's a way to do it. I just wish, that's why Bregman, I feel like, fits so well for them.
Agreed.
But the high contact, and then he can teach some of these other guys, hey, you're looking for this pitch, don't miss it. Again, they're not trying to miss it. I mean, no one ever wanted to strike out. Adam Dunn did a couple times. Best line ever. Why'd you strike out, Dunner? Because I thought I was going to hit into a double play, so I figured I'd only make 1 out instead of 2. So there are those guys.
Good. I think the Tigers going in on Finnegan here shows that the 18 innings that he threw for them and then subsequently into the playoffs, the bump in the strikeout rate is what the issue was with his value on the trade market 2 years ago. Finally, the Tigers went and got him, and we looked at him and we go, Tigers needed to pick up strikeout guys, and they didn't get one in Finnegan, who was averaging less than 1 per inning. And when he went there, I think he was like 23 or 25 strikeouts in 18 innings. Like, they used that splitter a little bit differently than it was being used in Washington. And so I think that's awesome. That's huge value there. I think it shows that $18 million, 2 years for closer, 8th inning guy type is, what you're looking for, and to add leverage to your bullpen. Maybe not the closer that the Robert Suarez or the Pete Fairbanks type, but I mean, good for the Tigers. They still need more strikeouts. They didn't take their strikeouts from their lineup and put them in the bullpen. And the bullpen guys who don't strike out much, many batters, the hitters need to take advantage of that.
And hey, I don't want to say we're being tough on Detroit, but it's more of a motivational thing. This team is close. They've got some pieces here that can
more
take
coming
them to the next level.
They got some more coming.
They
McGonigal,
were right there with
Max
Seattle.
Clark. When Job comes back, Melton, if he takes the next step as a starter, and that dude's legit.
Yeah, and think about it. So they were that close to taking down the Mariners, who were that close to taking down the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm. What a playoffs it was. Playoffs it was.
This is the year. Like this, if you don't trade Skubal, we talked about it yesterday, you got to go all in. What does that all in look like? Small pieces like Kyle Finnegan.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not going to do that, though. I think that part has been made clear, and that's why Ken Rosenthal put the article out. And Ken was on with us yesterday, and it almost made it sound like they were disagreeing on the topic. Hey,
worst PR guy, second best PR guy in the league. Sorry, second best. Everyone else is tied for first.
So yeah.
Hey, it's the first time I've ever not seen you on Game Changer.
That's Mike Vasallo, the Brewers public relations extraordinaire. Anyway, Ken Rosenthal doesn't think the Tigers are short-term thinking enough. And it sounded like Ken said Scott Harris, who's running the front office, disagrees with him. He feels like...
Sorry, I missed that. I was having a panic
The
attack.
discussion is Ken saying that the Tigers are too soft short-term, and it sounded like Ken, when he was sitting next to us, said that Scott Harris disagrees with that.
Okay.
He's too risk-averse. I disagree with
I think
Scott.
a lot of teams
I'm
are
on Ken's side
risk-averse.
there. Yeah, exactly. I
Where
disagree with Scott, but
where
I
did
think
Scott
most
come
teams
from?
are
Where did Scott
risk-averse.
come from? Cubs, Giants. Where were they risk-averse? What are the Cubs still? Risk-averse. What was
I'd say
Farhan
the
Zaidi?
Cubs are much more risk-averse than... Oh, you're saying the Giants.
He was
with
under
Zaidi.
Farhan. He wasn't under
yeah.
the new one.
Yes.
He wasn't under Brian Sabian, and he wasn't under Buster Posey. He was in the Farhan.
That's true. That's fair. Hey, can we get to spreading rumors? We've got some tea to spill. Let's start with Edwin Díaz. Jeff Passan said that the split between Diaz and the Mets started when he did not get a call giving him a heads up about the decision to sign Devin Williams. Is that true?
Ooh. Okay.
Ruh-roh. Is that true?
We have Rafi Devers part 2. Remember that whole Alex Bregman? It's not that hard to pick up the phone, especially in today's world. Now, back in the day, Kratz, when they had to call you on your landline, had to go through your mom to talk to. Like, remember you pick up the phone and call a girl, and you like, "Hey, mom, just hi, Mrs. Kratz. Yes, I'd love to talk to your daughter. Yes, thank you. Yes, hi, yes, I'm getting all A's. Thank you. Can we just get your daughter? No, but what about your mom and dad? Okay, yeah, like it's not that hard. You can just literally pick up this thing right here and go, hey, yes,
Quick.
hey, Edwin, thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, we're thinking about signing Devin Williams. You okay with that? Yes, cool. We'd also love to re-sign you. Okay, thank you. Bye. And by the way, my phone's
Oh, wow,
on.
you're getting a call at
I
the same
actually
time.
had a phone call
That's
at
weird.
the time.
Yeah. So, Kratz, do you think that Edwin Díaz deserved a phone call from the Mets when they signed Devin Williams?
Yes. I mean, especially if they have an offer out there, like unless their offer, like even if it's a player that you never had a relationship with, if you're going after a free agent and you have $66 million on the table like they had, hey, you know what? We're also going after Devin Williams. Hey, you know what? Devin Williams looks like he's close to signing. We want you and him. This is not an and or type of thing. He's not taking any trumpet from you. Like he's not taking your walkout music. You are the ninth inning guy. We just want to build the best bullpen possible. Oh, thank you for calling. Hang up. That's it. And like the next level is Edwin Díaz has been a New York Met. He has been the New York Met in that bullpen. So there's even easier of a chance that you have that communication. And he says he doesn't know. We'll wait till the other side comes out. I can't wait to read the back of the New York Post tomorrow morning. I want to see the picture.
Isn't the phone call,
Simple.
hey, Edwin, you know how we had to use you sometimes for more than 3 outs? We might have to do a little bit less of that. You might feel fresher and better. You know
That's
how
what
we
I'm
were
saying.
just
It's an easy
desperately
phone call.
throwing you into games at the final week of the season?
It's the same
We
thing
might be in a better
it's the same
spot.
thing with Devers when they signed Bregman. If they just pick up the phone and say, hey, Rafi, we're thinking about signing Alex Bregman. Are you okay moving to first or DH? Rather than him just getting a call, hey, or seeing it, we signed Alex Bregman. Say what you want, but guys have egos and guys get their feelings hurt. And
Hey, we had Paul Taboni, who actually just saw walk by us and said a quick head nod hi. He is now newly running the front office for the Nationals. He told us that he's got guys popping up in trade talks, and he called them. This was all in our interview the other day, if you want to go back and watch it. And there is a line and a needle to thread because you can't have every rumor pop up and call a guy. But it sounds like when there's something, I don't want to even say serious, but when he has conversations with teams about a particular player and it's coming from him, he's like, I'm going to pick up the phone and just be a person with them. And it sounded like they really appreciated that.
Yes. And I'll tell you this, if you talk to people that Red Sox, because Taboni came from the Red Sox, they thought losing him was a big deal because he did a lot of the draft stuff. He did a lot of the stuff that people don't really know about. So him going to the Nationals is a big deal, but I love when he said, I called Mackenzie Gore. I talked to C.J. Abrams. These are the guys that are being rumored to be traded. That means something to the players, man. And what I also love is a lot of these managers that are new managers, Vitello, Butera, right? These guys, they're calling their players. They're going to see their players. That's something that you can do, and it means something to these players because if they look up and Blake Butera is in their hometown, and he's like, hey, I want to sit down and have lunch with you. You know what? This guy actually kind of cares about me, and that means I'm more of a person and a human being than just a something that they can just get rid of, right? Because at least I have a personal relationship. So I think this is great, and it's a new way, and it's not that hard. It's really not that hard.
Agreed.
So on the topic of Edwin Díaz, a couple other teams that were either in or out on him. We can show this Brian Hoke tweet. Brian Cashman's, or not that tweet actually. It's on Edwin Díaz here. He said the Yankees weren't in on Edwin Díaz. Okay. I guess I can give you the whole thing here. We're just staying engaged. It's been tough so far. Blah blah blah. We
Is Brian Cashman conversations.
Here? I don't know because Cashman apparently doesn't go on podcasts that have too many millions of downloads. So I don't really know.
I just haven't seen him. I've seen pretty much everybody.
I think
else.
I did see him for a millisecond coming out of the press conference room when he had his little thing. I think. But yeah, he's not mingling, walking around. I mean, he's working, hopefully, for Yankee fan purposes. I think they're hoping that he's working. But anyway,
what happened? By the way, what happened with the Bay Area? Did something happen with the Bay Area? Because all the Bay Area reporters are stacked up here.
Oh,
Susan, did something happen with the Bay Area? Something happened with the Bay Area?
They're waiting.
Oh, because you guys are all stacked up here. Cubs, I know Cubs didn't do anything, so we're good there. Oh, okay. I know the Cubs didn't do nothing. So you guys are good. Red Sox. Yeah, you guys saw Breslow earlier. You guys are good. Who else is here?
AJ's talking to Susan Slesser right now. Yeah. One of our contributor stars on Splash Hit territory. But there was just some activity to the side, and you're like, wait, did something happen? Are they waiting to talk to someone? And they're being told that they can get some time with a front office executive as this riveting Rule 5 draft ended. Anyway, let me get to some notes from Ken Rosenthal and Will Salmon on Edwin Díaz while we're on that topic. They reported in The Athletic this morning that the Braves explored price points for Diaz as well as other late inning relievers. Ultimately did not sign him because they're in a different position than other teams when considering free agents who rejected qualifying offers. This actually is a real thing. So if you sign a player like Edwin Díaz, you lose at least your second highest draft pick. The Braves have pick number 9 overall, which is protected, but then they also have number 26 overall, which is what they got for Drake Baldwin winning Rookie of the Year. That's a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So they would lose that if they signed someone like Edwin Díaz.
Is it that valuable, or getting Edwin Díaz who can save you 50-plus games a year? I mean, or is that that's what I don't understand.
But let me just explain from their perspective.
No, let me explain. I'd rather have the 50-plus saves from a guy I know that can do it every year than a guy I might pick who might never make it to the major leagues. I'll take the 50-plus save guy. Now explain.
Hurston Waldrop last year was really good in the time that he pitched. 2.88 ERA, 56 in the third innings. He was 24th overall in 2023. They've done a nice job, right, with that pick status. I think the point is, let me actually bring you a real scenario. Let's say Hurston Waldrop, who is, I think, going to be a big league regular starter, maybe a 3, ish.
Mhm.
If you can get him, and then instead of Edwin Díaz, you can sign Pete Fairbanks and Robert Suarez or something like that. Although I don't know, did Suarez get a qualifying offer? I don't remember. But point is, non-qualifying offer relievers. That is why they're choosing to look at Diaz and say, okay, unless this is at some crazy price point that we just have to jump into, we'd rather dance with guys that don't have qualifying offers attached to them. I know it's not what Braves fans want to hear, but that's the thinking from a front office Kratz that probably values that first overall pick or not first round pick at, I don't know, 10, 15 million bucks. They put prices on those in terms of what it could turn into. More than that?
More than that. I mean, you start talking about like high-end prospects. Now those are guys that start to become that prospect, being $35 to $40 million prospects. How they make the evaluation, I have no idea. But I mean, an elite level prospect like Jackson Holiday, what did they say he was worth when he was still in the minor leagues? Like 42 or 49 million, something ridiculous like that. So yeah, they have a high value on that.
Yes.
In the next
and there are
3 years,
other guys, right?
In the next 3 years, this team needs to win. This team needs to win the World Series. That's why you extended all these guys. You won back in 21. They need to continue to figure out why it wasn't going well, especially at the beginning of the season last year, and they got themselves in a hole. Does Edwin Díaz change that for you? Or does the Hurston Waldrop of the 2026 draft change that for you in the next 3 years? No, that draft pick does not change that. Even if Hurston Waldrop plays 10 years in the big leagues, his impact on the team is not going to be what Edwin Díaz's impact is going to be. And I understand that front offices have to run it differently than that, but I think teams, like we always say, they convince themselves it's not worth it. Why? Because it's 162 games and it's played by humans. Hitters that hit amazing are going to make out 7 out of 10 times. Pitchers like Edwin Díaz, who pitch at the end of the game, are going to blow saves. You're not going to have seasons where dudes have perfect save, 50 for 50 in saves. Like, it's just not it. But you want to build the best team possible, and that's where I'm kind of like, that's where I'd make wrong decisions. I'd spend my money incorrectly if I was a GM.
Well, I think they're looking at Diaz, and then they're looking at Robert Suarez, who's also very good, and will put his name in the notes column as well as someone that the Braves could be looking to go after. And that would certainly be a nice pickup for them. They brought back Raisel Iglesias. You bring Robert Suarez to join the high leverage late inning party.
They already have Bummer and the other lefty. They have two good lefties that they can deal with. So they need a right-handed guy. Right-handed high leverage reliever.
Isn't Robert Suarez the top guy for that?
He would be the top guy.
Yeah. So that's a good name.
Dylan Lee's been great for them. They kind of stacked. Yeah, lefty, Dylan Lee. Right over the top. But they stacked their bullpen with a lot of lefties, and maybe that's what didn't work. So maybe they're going after those right-handers again. Who knows?
Hey, I mean, there could be some trades too. So this notes column says, in addition to Brewers closer Trevor McGill, right-handed reliever Nick Mears is another player generating trade interest from Milwaukee's bullpen. Mears is under club control for 2 more seasons, projected to make about $1.5 million this coming season. I mean, neither of these guys are expensive. I guess this is what Milwaukee has to do if they do want to make offseason changes and they can't really do anything with free agency. They try to get creative and trade value guys and then see if they can just pump out new versions of what they already created. Right? Because most Brewers fans look at this like, wait, you're going to trade away 2 of our better relievers? Huh? What? They don't cost you anything. What are we doing? But it's not about that. It's the same thing with Freddie Peralta. It's not about the $8 million. They're fine there. It's about them seeing the starting pitching market and being like, Freddie Peralta in this market would have gotten like $200 million. Someone could get him next year for 8. You get a lot in return for that.
Great. Brewers are good at this. They're forward thinking.
Risk averse?
They're not risk averse. They take risks.
Yeah,
they're definitely not risk averse when it comes to trades. They're just forward thinking and they try to stay ahead of it. which is why they've been successful for a long time, because they're always trying to stay ahead of it. They're always trying to be ahead of the curve.
Agreed. Okay, let's step aside for a sec and hit our BetMGM segment, because after that, we are going to talk to Jim Duquette, who is always dialed in on the Mets. So we'll talk to him about the Pete Alonso and Edwin Díaz deals, right? 2 of the 3 big deals here at the winter meetings that broke in the last 24 hours. We'll also talk about Diaz and Alonso impact on the teams coming up next for them, which are the Dodgers and the Orioles. And then later, Ken Rosenthal making a little stop by for 10 minutes on FT.
Red Sox people are lined up, boy.
Oh, yeah. It's a party again outside of the Rule 5 draft. Riveting. Hey, let's talk BetMGM Futures AL Cy Young winner. I'm assuming that's a plus 350 for Tarek Skubal and a plus 350
not
for
taking him.
Garrett Crochet, and then a plus 8 hundo for Jacob deGrom. Hey, it's awesome. deGrom put together, 30-ish starts this year? Chances he does that again?
Not taking Skubal because I think he'll get traded, possibly get traded in the middle of the year, so he's out.
Okay.
Crochet would be the one on this list. I like that. I just, hopefully he can replicate what he did last year. And Jacob deGrom is always a health concern, but when he's right, he's right. But he had a really good year last year, and he didn't finish that highly in the Cy Young. So it's a tough list. Give me a little more. Give me a few more people, please.
Yeah, we want to go.
I mean, not as many people as now are behind us again, but give me a few more people on this
crazy.
list.
It's just, they're rabid animals behind us. But Kratz, your thoughts on AL? Yeah.
Crochet at plus 350 because of the concern. Anytime you're picking any of these futures, concern of injury is always there. But to me, the concern of being traded, like Skubal could be 12-1 at the trade deadline. And if the Tigers aren't in it, which is completely out of Skubal's control, he will get traded. Not could, he will. And it will be a massive haul that the Tigers will still get for him. And if he goes to the National League, you're cooked. He's not winning the Cy Young Award winner. But to me, I think Crochet's the play in it. I love that number at plus 350. Yes, please.
Okay.
He's the one.
Let me do a little quick reader, and then we've got a guest joining us. BetMGM
I want to go
players
off the board,
will
though. I
receive
need somebody
a
off
no-sweat
the
token. Well, we'll look for that. We've got all offseason to figure it out. You can get that to bet on any pro football bet. Token is live ahead of Thursday Night Football this week. To use it, add a bet on a pro football event to your bet slip. Activate the token. Get bonus bets if the bet that was made with the token loses. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Jim Duquette joining us next to talk about everything. Taking a tour of all of the past suites that Jim Duquette has spent time in as he joins us right now. Duke, good to see you.
Good to see you.
There's a big crowd for you today.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was great.
We brought them in.
You guys
for
set it
you.
up perfectly. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
you're the man of the hour,
Duke.
Duke. You know why?
Yeah.
Because you worked in the front office GM, both with Baltimore and with the New York Mets.
Oh, yeah. These are my two teams right here.
Yes.
I've been getting hit up by a lot more excited Baltimore fans and a ton of upset Mets fans, not just because of Alonso, but Diaz yesterday.
How does this happen?
Can you believe this?
But
it's unbelievable.
As happy, we'll get to the Orioles as happy as they are.
Yeah.
But this to me is more of a Mets story.
Yeah.
And David Stern saying, We tried with this core group, Nimmo gone, Diaz gone, Alonso gone. How does this happen? Is this just David Stern saying, I'm doing it my own way, I don't care about money? Because we still have Soto, we still have Lindor, and we still have other big contracts.
It's hard for me to imagine that the plan at the end of the season, as disappointing as it was and embarrassing as it was, that your plan was, well, we're going to get better next year, and it's not going to include Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Edwin Díaz. Like that doesn't resonate with me. Like doesn't make any sense. But I think when you look at it in its entirety, when you talk about it in silos, you just think, okay, from a business side, okay, maybe Nimmo's starting to age a little bit. Okay, Diaz maybe he didn't want to go to 3 years, which I don't get, but maybe he didn't want to go to 3 years. Oh, maybe he didn't want to go more than 3 years to Pete. So there's each individually wrapped. You go, okay, I understand that angle, but when you have this much change and an influx with your team, how are you going to unravel this? How are you going to improve? And does your fan base believe you? That's the other thing. There's a believability factor or lack of credibility right now because of how upset they are about losing two iconic homegrown Mets players. These guys are homegrown, not only good players, but homegrown. So I think there's a huge PR issue that you'd have to have your head in the sand to not understand or believe. And they like the next moves better be good, and they better be like impactful. And that's where I'm still not sure they're going to go impactful going forward.
All right, I got one for you in your ear, Kratz.
Do they? I mean, the moves. It wasn't just like you're not talking about just PR guys. You're talking about the dude who led the team in homers. You're talking about the dude that led the team in saves for the last however many years. Do you see a way? Like you mentioned it. Like it's hard to say, okay, we're going to unravel this. Do you see a way that David Stearns unravels this, or is this the beginning of the end for his approach to the way this team's going to win? Because it didn't work last year with the starting staff that he assembled.
Right. And, I think that, the starters, let's start just there. I mean, he doesn't want to give out any long-term deals, right, to starting pitchers. Okay, well, I think the way the market is playing itself out is kind of looking like it might fall into his hands if you like a Michael King, sounds like no more than 4 years or 3 years. If you look at Valdez, it sounds like he's having a harder time getting 6 or 7. I don't get the sense, though, the Mets are on Valdez. But, I think that, Zach Gallen's still in the mix, but we haven't really heard it. There's certainly trade potential that I could see happening there with the Mets because they have a host of prospects that, strong prospects capital that he's willing to part with. But, it's still right now you kind of start with that starting rotation. Now, how are you going to improve on the position players? Like if you're not going to go after Tucker or Bichette, and I don't think Bichette fits, but Tucker certainly does. What else are you going to do to improve the offense? Because you lost 2 significant offensive pieces.
Agreed. All right, now we've hit the Mets. We've kind of, I don't want to say blasted the Mets, but we've more surprised on what the Mets offseason so far has been.
Sure.
Now let's go to the Orioles. Ooh. They just picked up a 40-plus home run guy, a guy who plays 150 to 162 games a year. He's a great guy in the clubhouse from everything I've ever heard. What does he bring to the Orioles, and how happy should the Orioles fans be? Because they got Taylor Ward. Yep. Now they have Pete Alonso. So they added 2 huge bats. They still need starting pitching. But is this Mike Elias really saying, hey, we're finally have the money and resources to really go?
Well, it looks like it. I was skeptical. I think a lot of the fans were that they were willing to do this. They got shut out there with Schwarber. They were in on Schwarber and could have extended. But they got one of their guys. And I think, when you look at the young talent that they had, it was lacking a couple, I'll call them adults in the room, guys that could be leaders in the clubhouse, guys that could give you a professional approach, and be impactful to take pressure off the young guys. Right now, it allows Gunnar to just, if he can stay healthy, not worry about anything else. It allows a little bit of room for Rutschman to going to hopefully get back on track. Holiday to develop in his own, window. He's still a really young kid. Maybe it allows Cowser to hit in the 7-hole, which is probably where he is better off instead of hitting at the top of the lineup. Like it changes their entire lineup around, and now they have to go get pitching. But you remember this too, AJ. When you'd sign somewhere, or let's say, I'll go back to when I signed when I was with the Mets and we signed Pedro Martinez. Omar signed him. When we struggled until we got Pedro, and then Pedro helped us get Beltran, right? And it kind of like, oh wow, Pedro signed there. Okay, there must be doing something. Though Beltran goes, I want to be there too. Alonso signing there goes, okay, well, now these starting pitchers, okay, now I know what the Orioles are doing. I wasn't sure. Now I know, and I think it just changes the whole perception.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you, because I've been saying this, Kratz, haven't I, for days now. Teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? Oh,
right.
We want to turn our fortunes around
right.
and show everybody. You got to sign somebody, and you might have to overpay a little bit,
right?
But that shows that they're serious,
right?
And here you go. The Orioles are now officially serious about winning.
That's right. Jason Worth did it with the Nationals a couple years ago.
Pudge Rodriguez,
Pudge and Maglio.
Yeah. I mean, there's a long list of this happening. The Cubs did it with Lester and Lackey.
That's right.
They had Rizzo and Bryant and all those guys coming.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, and they might have done it a year early,
right?
But then they ended up winning the World Series.
Yeah.
The Astros went and got Verlander, right? I mean, so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you for saying that.
No, I mean, it's true. And we've seen it happen so many different times. I don't know why organizations don't do it more. I really don't.
Who got the better deal? Phillies and Schwarber, Orioles and Pete Alonso. Because it's 2 years younger for Pete. He can still play first. It doesn't hamstring you yet at DH.
Right. Well, that's a great question, and they're so different. Like one's righty, one's lefty. I think with the Orioles, I think they got the better deal because he can play a position, and they needed him so badly. The Phillies, if there wasn't Schwarber, they would have pivoted to Tucker or whatever. This opens up so many different things, and there's so much skepticism there with the Orioles. Like Dave Dombrowski knows what he's doing. You have a high degree of faith and confidence that, if you didn't get Schwarber, okay, they would have done something else. But I knew Dave was not going to let Schwarber get away. There's no chance, the Hall of Fame, general manager. But with Mike Elias, there was a lot of uncertainty down there. He needed this one, and I think, it'll age well. Listen, I'm not going to bet ever against Schwarber. If he ends up hitting 40 more homers per year over the next 5 years, we're going to be talking about it in the Hall of Fame. Like he's going to have over 500 home runs if you start to look at legacy. So I love what he is. The only problem is he's a DH, and I think that's when I say DH, it just hurts your versatility from a front office side of the way your roster plays out. So I love Kyle Schwarber. I'd want him on my team any day, and I would make him a full-time DH and screw the rotation DH like every team likes to do. But in the sense of which one might work better, I think Alonso, just because he has some positional flexibility.
Okay, so you mentioned this, and we've talked about the Orioles forever. They have all these prospects: Kowser, Holiday, Adley, Gunnar, and they never really were averse to trading them.
Right?
How much is a prospect really worth? Because we just had a whole Jackson Holiday was worth $40 to $49 million.
Right?
How much is a prospect really worth? And how do you know when to get rid of them and make that move and hold on to them, and then they become too old and now they're not worth anything?
Well, so the worth, the value, when we look at it, a lot of it's in the projection. So, is Jackson Holiday going to be an impactful second base / shortstop in the foreseeable future? And if that's the case, is that a 5 or 6 WAR play? Just use WAR as the simple way of evaluating it. Is he going to be a 5 or 6 WAR player over the next 4 seasons? All right, or better? And if that's the case, then you can put a value on it. You throw $8-9 million per WAR. You can come up with a valuation. At least whether you agree with it or not, that's how the front offices are doing it, right? So I think that's, in Mayo, as another example, like they have a high degree of faith that Kobe Mayo is going to be an impactful guy. There's too much swing and miss in there for me right now, And so, what's a potential 30-homer guy that can't make contact doesn't really do anything for you in the marketplace. That's not as much value, right? So he has to figure out a way to make better contact, or else, the value that they think he has is going to go down the tube, and it's going to happen in 6 months. So
he's not trying to strike out, though.
Right. So I think that's the stuff like that, and I'm always fascinated about it because it changes. Like there'll be times where our evaluators would go, "Oh yeah, this guy is impactful," and then a year later we're like, "Oh man, we don't have any value for this guy. We held on to him too long." So that's there's those impactful guys that usually are obvious. Like when you saw an impactful guy come on, you go, "Oh yeah, that guy's going to stick." You could kind of see it with your own eyes. It's the nuance of, can Jordan Westburg, who really wasn't on the scene that much, can he become an all-star or not? Like those are the guys you're like, okay, that you make, I think, more misses or hits on those type of guys because you're not really sure when they first come up.
Duke, you're the man of the hour. Thanks for stopping by, and you got to hit a flight, and we're doing a quick shift change.
Thanks for bringing the crowd over here for me.
All for you.
This is the action
It's all the
spot.
adrenaline, right?
Yes, exactly.
This is good.
Good to see you, Duke. Thank
All right,
you.
always good to see you
Appreciate
guys.
you.
Yeah, good to see you.
That's Jim
See you,
Duquette.
buddy.
Yes. Good to see you.
See you,
You can
Kratz.
catch him on SNY, Sirius XM, all over the place. Kratz, we're saying bye to you. Ken Rosenthal, shift change coming up next. Inside Scoop time with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal as we're wrapping up the winter meetings in Orlando. You know what's funny? I just thought of this. The most talked about team is a team that actually hasn't done anything, and it's the Mets.
Yeah, it's true. And they've done Devin Williams.
Right,
Not-
before
He
this.
was here, by the way.
But, well,
Yeah, I
good
saw
for
him last
him.
night. But before this, not during this stretch.
No, you're right. And certainly the Mets are going to be the talking point of the sport right now. I just got done writing about them. And all this is well and good. You want to lose these guys? Okay. But you have to have answers. And I'm not necessarily seeing what those answers are going to be. Now, I'm sure David Stearns has some kind of plan. They're not talking much about what they're going to do. That's fine. But they need two outfielders. They need starting pitching, and they don't want to play long-term on the big-time starting pitchers who are available in free agency, which I understand. Those guys have questions. And now they have a closer, Devin Williams, who will not have a safety net in Edwin Díaz. So they're going to need to be busy. I'm sure they know that. They obviously know that. But the way I wrote the column was, if you're a Mets fan right now, the irrational side is winning.
Is the Edwin Diaz thing true about not calling him about Devin Williams, and then therefore he got his feelings hurt? Which I totally understand because he's been there.
Yeah.
He's a star. He is a star of the new. When they play the trumpets, he's the man coming out of there, and he's done it in the biggest stages. Right. So is that a true thing that led to him then going to the Dodgers?
I don't know that alone.
But it adds up as a player. You want to be respected.
That's where I'm going, AJ.
Yeah, especially a guy that has been there, done that.
That was one element. Their offers, I'm sure, were another element. Jeremy Hefner leaving. Edwin Díaz had a good relationship with him. All of that adds up, as you said. And players, they want a certain respect shown to them, especially someone like Diaz who meant so much to the franchise. From what I've heard, and it's not just with the failure to call him and inform him of Devin Williams, it was overall. From what I've heard, that respect he didn't feel was shown to them.
By the way, has anyone done a proof of life on Mendy, Carlos Mendoza? I saw him yesterday, but today, now Alonso's gone. Has anyone seen or heard from Mendy? Because he's going to have to put all this together. I mean, yes, David Stearns, but if they don't do what they need to do, it all falls on him, not David Stearns.
And you know what, guys? It's going to be a different kind of team, obviously. They also made the Simeon move. They acquired a 36-year-old second baseman who was in offensive decline. And I know what they're saying about run prevention, and Pete Alonso is not the best defensive first baseman. I don't think the Orioles cared all that much about it because they see him as a game changer in their lineup, and he is for them. This is a huge move for Baltimore, and the Mets just didn't see it that way. I understand no player is perfect, but man, Pete Alonso brought an awful lot. And like Nimmo, like Diaz, he proved he could play in the New York pressure cooker. Not a small thing. Marcus Semien hasn't done that. Devin Williams has done it to an extent, but he had mixed results this year. So, luck to them. They're going to have a lot to do, and it's not going to be an easy puzzle to put back together.
But what about the puzzle that the Orioles are trying to put back together? Lineup looking nice now.
Yep.
They still have a lot of work to do on the pitching side.
They will be active on starting pitching. I reported yesterday with Will Salmon that they've been talking to the Marlins about Edward Cabrera. They're also talking about other trades. There have been published reports linking them to Mackenzie Gore. And they are also involved in Ranger Suarez and at the top of the free agent market, Valdez as well. So this is not it for them. But the breadth of what they have done so far is somewhat astonishing. Starts with Leody Taveras. Andrew Kittredge, they trade for him, then they exercise his option. Ryan Helsley, they trade for Taylor Ward, and now Pete Alonso.
They're doing
a
things.
Team that is doing things. That is a team that finished last season and said, not good enough. And it's also an ownership, much different than Steve Cohen, of course, but an ownership that, while operating in a mid-market, is stepping up and saying, it's time. Let's go. We got to get going here. And they are impressively putting a team together.
I love it.
Yeah,
we bang on them all the time. Finally, go get them. Go get them.
Absolutely.
And here we go.
And you know what, too? There's always a question with a team like that. Cincinnati's facing this. Pittsburgh's facing this. Can they actually get the guy? And the Orioles, of course, they bid the same amount for Schwarber that the Phillies did, but the Phillies were given the right to match, it seems, and just did that. But here are the Orioles, and they were in there against the Red Sox. They were in there against, well, I guess the Mets didn't really bid, but they won. And that's what you have to do in free agency to get the player. You have to win. We all know it always sounds great the first day, and who knows how this will work out. But Pete Alonso's 31. He's not going to stop hitting anytime soon, in my estimation. So it's a huge day for the Orioles, huge day for kind of continuing the revival in that city of baseball, which took a little bit of a step back last year.
Mm-hmm. Nothing has actually happened with the trade market unless you have
that's
a follow-up.
what I was going to. I was going to say, who won the winter meetings? Because every year we have off-season winners.
Only 3 moves.
But,
I mean, there's a few other.
But he knows
ones.
more of the insider, what he thinks is going to happen down the road. Who do you think has maybe set themselves up?
Well, the Orioles for sure.
The Orioles
they set
for
themselves up well. Yes. Okay. And AJ, not to cop out, but it's way too early to pass judgment on any. And that's the one thing with the Mets. What they've done so far is curious, to say the least, but it's December 10th. It's not February 10th, and there's plenty of time. I just don't see the options being that great. For example, Pete Alonso is one of the great right-handed hitters in the sport. He hit behind Juan Soto, one of the great left-handed hitters in the sport. Who is going to fill that spot? The 2 top free agents, Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker, are both left-handed. The Mets show no inclination that they're going to sign either anyway. Who is the right-handed bat behind behind Juan Soto? I don't know.
Vientos.
I guess.
Alvarez? Right. Vientos?
I mean,
McNeil's
not ideal. Those
yeah.
guys should be 6-7 in the lineup, you know?
Could be a trade.
Could be a trade. But again, one of the reasons the Orioles jumped on Taylor Ward was the lack of right-handed hitting outfielders. Maybe they signed Harrison Bader back, the Mets. I don't know. But he's not a protection guy. And good luck trading for a right-handed slugger.
Semien.
Not that guy anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sub 700 OPS the last 2 years.
Hey, we talked about this 20 minutes ago. I was reading some parts from your notes column. The Braves. Remember the Braves? What are they going to do this offseason? I know you wrote a little bit about some prying into relievers.
Yes. They're on relievers, and Robert Suarez is one, but there's competition for him. And it's the other thing with the Mets, by the way. They face competition for all these players. Most of the teams are trying. So that's a problem in addition to everything else. But the Braves, they want another reliever, they want a starter, and they want to, if possible, continue upgrading at shortstop so they can play Dubon all over the field. Now, Ha-Seong Kim, we haven't heard much about him. he's still out there. The Braves, of course, acquired him for the last stretch of the season to get to know him. He becomes a free agent, of course, which is his right, and which I think was their expectation. But he's a guy that if his market doesn't develop, and there are teams that could use him besides the Atlanta Braves, obviously they would love him to come back.
Okay, by the way, you said 6'7", right?
6'7".
There you go. Perfect.
Hey,
Yeah,
we got
I
it
love
from Ken. There you
Love
go.
it.
I'm with the cool kids.
I know the chat is like, Ken said 6'7", which is great. But one of our friends, one of our colleagues, a guy you worked with much more than me, won the Frick Award. It was the Frick
Yes, the
Award,
Frick
right?
Award, yes.
Ford C. Frick Award. Joe Buck. One of the best dudes I know. People bash him. He's one of the best dudes I know in the world. Always gets back to you. Will do whatever, give you anything you want. One of the greatest guys in the world. One of the best sports announcers, baseball, football, any sport he can do. One of my favorite people I've ever met. I want your thoughts on him getting into the Hall of Fame.
I was thrilled to see this. And I worked with him, I believe, maybe 15 years at Fox. And I know what people say, oh, he's this, he's that. The guy called 24 World Series. He didn't call 24 World Series because he sucks, okay? He did because he is the best at his craft. And I was privileged to be part of that team that he was leading, obviously, as far as the broadcast. And, AJ, I'll tell you this one story because it showed me how gifted he was, and it was such a subtle thing that I'm sure no one noticed. 2009 ALCS, I believe. The Yankees and Angels are playing. The Yankees are kind of putting the series away a little bit. And Tim McCarver and I get this conversation on air about looking ahead to the next series. Joe pulls it back to the game in a way that was so masterful, so easy, and yet the viewer or the listener would not have even known what had happened. And he has an amazing gift, great on the big moments, great in every aspect of broadcasting. He is, I believe, now in both the baseball and football Hall of Fames. Again, that guy who is that 2 Hall of Fames, I don't think he sucks.
No?
I love
He's
him.
pretty darn good.
Yeah,
He's one
I
of the
love him.
all-time greats.
He's a
Absolutely.
legend, and he makes every event feel bigger.
That's right. And that's why ESPN wanted him, because he elevated them. And
Does this mean he's coming back into baseball again, though?
he sure doesn't sound like he really wants to do that.
I don't know.
He's
Big
got
events.
2 small
ESPN
boys
just got
now,
their new
twins.
deal.
Yeah, I know.
They got some special games.
Here and there, I would think he might do it, but he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's
Yeah,
He's
and
the
it's
best,
tough
man.
it's tough to do multiple sports. A lot of guys do it, but
Yeah.
it is
and
tough
also
to do multiple
just on a
sports.
personal level. Before I started at Fox on the broadcast in 2006, they had not had a print person be a sideline reporter. And Joe and Tim, they didn't have to agree to that. They didn't have to accept that. And yet, not only did both of them do it, and they both have now won Frick Awards, they accepted me. They brought me in. They made me feel part of it. And I'm forever in debt to both those guys. I love both those guys.
the same thing you were talking about Joe and Tim. We were recently at it was a few years ago, Tim McCarver's
Yes.
Celebration of Life in
Yes.
St. Louis. I get a call from Bob Costas. Can you come speak at Tim McCarver's Celebration of Life? The family would like you to speak. Da-da. And I'm like, well, I knew Tim, but I didn't know Tim like as well as y'all did, but we had a relationship. And I'll never forget, Bob Costas says, hey, can you speak? And I go, well, what am I saying? Just tell stories about Tim, da-da-da-da. And I said, well, who am I speaking between? He's like, well, between me and Joe Buck. And I'm like, wait a second here. Bob Costas, me, and then Joe Buck. And then you were there. You sat
Yes,
with
I was
me.
there.
And I did my whole little thing and told some funny to McCarver. And then the best was Joe followed me, and he weaved what I said into what he was saying. And I was like, okay, this dude is just the best.
And
Like, made it
last
so
year,
good.
he was inducted into a 3rd Hall of Fame, the National Sports Media Association Hall of Fame. I was there for that. And this was in North Carolina. His speech, it was so hilarious. This guy is one of the funniest people I know. And he's self-deprecating. He's humble. He knows he took all the criticism because of his father, and he's following his father. It's nepotism. He attacks it head on. He will tell people, I'm a Nepo baby, and I'm proud of it. And, man, I'm sure his dad right now is looking down at his son and saying, man, what a
In
thing.
20 years to the day, don't forget. The
Unbelievable.
91 Kirby Puckett, Game 6,
Oh,
Cardinals.
That's my all-time favorite
walk-off.
call.
So do you know that we had a conversation before the game about that? I don't know if you were in the car with us. So that was my first ever thing with Fox. And I said, Joe, it's 20-year anniversary. And he knew, obviously. And I said, if Cardinals hit a walk-off, you got to do it. And he's like, oh, trust me. I've thought about it already.
Oh, really?
And then and then David
great.
Freese hit the home run, and we'll see you tomorrow night. But
then,
this is how good he was, though, at, like, forward thinking about stuff.
He was just a master. Is a master.
Yeah,
I can't say talk about it in past tense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
congratulations
think he's the second
to Joe.
youngest Frick winner after Vin Scully.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Well, we'll get him on. We'll talk about it. Ken, we'll talk to you, or we'll hear from you
by the way,
actually
Paul
on
Hoynes,
Friday.
Oh, well,
But
I
you
can
just-
talk about Hoynes all day, too.
Oh, yeah.
But he also is going in.
BBWAA winner, long-time beat writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealers since 1983. And he's seen it all from Municipal Stadium to Jacobs Field to Progressive Field now. He's covered all kinds of teams, good, bad, some ugly. He is beloved among the baseball writers. And when he got in yesterday, we were all just laughing and thrilled. He's just a fun-loving guy on top of everything else. And, yeah, Hoynesy and Joe Buck, it's quite a pair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we saw great tweets from a lot of the BBWA members, sharing how happy they were for Hoynesy, and he's there, and you all get to see it in the room.
Amazing guy.
That's very cool. Well, Ken, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
Special Fair Territory Friday with Ken. Yes. FT fam, we're out of here. Thanks for everything to everyone. Winter Meetings coverage in Orlando, live for hours and hours. Great job by the crew. And we keep rolling with tomorrow's show.